Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 12th, 2025 regularly scheduled meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified School Board. The meeting is called to order at 5:31. To access translation in Zoom, please click on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. If you are here in Dijon, you may pick up a headset for translation in the back corner of the auditorium. The board is about to go into closed session, but before we do, we're here to listen to public comment on closed session items. Individuals wishing to speak on closed session items, if you're here in the auditorium and you haven't already done so yet, please submit a WCCUSD public comment card, which you can find on the entryway table, or if you are participating via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand in the Zoom app. If you're accessing the meeting by phone, press *9. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes, and the total time allotted is 1 hour. Speaking time shall not be transferred from one person to another. There is also no substitution of speakers. We alternate between a Zoom comment and an in-person comment. The public comment period is a safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed civilly without interruption or intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker's comment and respect their time as if it were your own. Be open to a different point of view if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. The items listed tonight for closed session are conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Clear versus West Contra Costa Unified School District, Contra Costa County Superior Court, case number N24-1353, student discipline for stipulated expulsions, conference with labor negotiators, public employee appointment. Is there any public comment on closed session items? Rosa, is there any public comment on closed session items?
There's no public comment.
Great. The board is going into recess. We'll be back at 6:30. Thank you. Okay, we're trying one more time. Can you hear me in the back on this side? Hands up if you can hear. Okay, that looks good. In the front on this side, can you hear me? Hands up if you can hear. On this side, in the back, can you hear? Hands up if you can hear. Okay, good. In the front, hands up if you can hear me. Okay, are we okay? Can I see some thumbs if we're good? Okay. Okay, we are ready to go then. Good evening to everyone. Welcome to the open session of the regularly scheduled March 12th, 2025 meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified School District School Board. The board is returning from closed session and I'm calling open session to order at 6:48 p.m. To access translation in Zoom, please click on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. If you are here in the auditorium and need translation, you may pick up a headset in the back corner of the auditorium. In a few minutes, we will begin the public comment agenda item. Members of the public are invited to speak to the board on any matter that is not otherwise on the agenda, but is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. Please prepare now for public comment. If you're here in the auditorium and you'd like to make public comment, please fill out and submit a WCCUSD public comment card. You can find them on the table in the entryway. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand in the Zoom app prior to the beginning of this item on the agenda. If you're participating by phone, please press *9. After your comment card has been turned in, the cards are placed in the order received and we call on speakers one at a time, alternating between public comment here in Dijon and one on Zoom. Public comment generally lasts for 1 hour. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. In the meantime, we will move on to the rest of our opening procedures. To Pledge of Allegiance, if you are willing or able, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Three, land, labor, and body acknowledgement. Land acknowledgement. We recognize that we are presently on the lands of the Chochenyo, Mi'kmaq, Karkin, and Ohlone peoples, and acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we currently occupy. Labor and body recognition acknowledgement. I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and its systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of survivors over the centuries to today, of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as the United States. Author, Dr. Rochelle Rogers Ard. 4. West Contra Costa Unified School District Board anti-racist statement. West Contra Costa School District Board of Education is committed to the work of anti-racism, the conscious and active effort to identify, challenge, and correct racial inequities in the systems and institutions within our schools and community. Racism, explicit or implicit, stands in direct conflict to the fundamental principles of WCC USD education. To carry WCC education into the future, we recognize that we must continually renew and reflect on the roots of racism and develop new ideas to meet the times. Unjust ideas and policies and the racial inequity they produce have shaped us, our schools, and our society. We strive to uncover unconscious bias and practice anti-racism as individuals and as board members. We challenge ourselves to persist through this discomfort necessary for growth and learning, to deepen our listening and examination of racism and oppression, and to develop a strong understanding of how our personal experiences and feelings fit into the larger picture of continual oppression. Each member of our school board, individually and collectively, is responsible for creating and nurturing an anti-racist learning environment where each student, staff member, and community partner is a respected and valued member of the WCC USD community. We are uniquely positioned, and it is our responsibility to identify and dismantle racist ideas and inequitable policies in ourselves and across the district. Therefore, we commit to supporting anti-racist policies and programs and practices for our children's education and well-being while building strong and inclusive school communities. We commit to holding each board member accountable towards these goals and moving the work of anti-racism forward. We also commit to holding West Contra Costa Unified School District staff, students, and community to living these standards of anti-racism in our schools. Board approved, March 20th, 2024. B5, roll call. Dr. Moses, would you please take roll?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Good evening, present.
Trustee Smith Folds,
Good evening, everyone present.
President Reckler,
Good evening, I'm present.
Clerk Inyana.
Good evening, present.
Trustee Hernandez is absent this evening. Student Trustee Barron
Good evening, present.
and Student Trustee Espinosa Jr.
Good evening, present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call.
President Reckler, point of order. I'm getting notifications that it's really difficult to understand you on Zoom.
It's difficult to understand me or to understand everyone?
Well, I can't understand you either in the auditorium, but that in Zoom is difficult to understand you.
Okay. Is anybody here on Zoom? Can you hear? Answer is yes? Okay. Please monitor that. Okay. Okay. Okay, B7, public comment. Members of the public are invited to speak to the board on any matter that is not otherwise on the agenda, but is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. Public comment will last approximately 1 hour. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. Should additional speakers remain at the conclusion of 1 hour, public comment may be extended. The time allotted per speaker beyond the first hour is generally 1 minute. Individuals wishing to speak, please submit a WCCUSD public comment card, or if participating via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand in the Zoom app prior to the beginning of this item on the agenda. If you are calling in by phone, press *9. Speaking time shall not be transferred from one person to another. There is no substitution of speakers. Speakers can also make public comment again for each discussion and action item on the agenda after staff presentations. The public will have 10 minutes per item and 1 minute per speaker. The same protocols apply. The public comment period is a safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed civilly without interruption or intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker's comment and respect their time at the podium as if it were your own. Be open to a different point of view if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yes, our first public comment is Lizzie Orellana.
Hold on. Okay. I am a 10th grade student at Kennedy High. I'm here to speak on behalf of my fellow students and teachers that will heavily be affected by the cuts. It's important for you to know that by cutting some of these programs, you will be taking away many opportunities for students. By eliminating the tech and health academies, you will be jeopardizing the future of many young adults who are aiming for those professions. The Health Academy gets people ahead in their studies and prepares them for their medical future. Young adults achieve the skill of drawing blood and getting CPR certified. It gives them the knowledge that freshman college students won't have unless they took that course. Getting rid of that program jeopardizes the future of medicine, setting back many students who are going into med school. We are always in a shortage of doctors, so why are you threatening our future doctors by limiting their education? Your rash decisions jeopardize the future of medicine in our community. You are rational adults making unnecessary cuts. Just like there's a shortage in doctors, there's a shortage in teachers. Getting rid of more teachers is putting students in a horrible situation where they won't have teachers educating them. If there aren't any teachers, then who will teach the students who are going into professional fields and will one day be in charge of everything? Students and staff should not be making speeches on why this is wrong. You should know that off the top of your heads. If your common sense is telling you that this is wrong and you make the cuts regardless of what everyone is saying, then you obviously don't know what it's like being a student in today's day and age. You will shame yourselves if you take these opportunities away from us. We deserve more. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Before you move on, I skipped report ratification of closed session B6. So just for a moment, if it's okay with everyone, I'd like to ask the superintendent if there's anything to report out from closed session.
Thank you, President. There is no report from closed session.
Great. Okay, we may continue with public comment. Thank you, everyone.
Our next public comment is Andrew Wilkie. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I'm just gonna say you have like a $20 million theater this district just built in Pinole with a state-of-the-art sound system, but you're fussing around in Dijon. It's silly. Go to one of your facilities that can adequately be heard in. Okay, MOUs. I need to point out some stuff about MOUs. First of all, MOUs, some of our schools have been doing them for decades. This is work you've been getting that the teachers have been giving you on our backs, not on your little 1.5 overages. Okay, so you have no idea what it's taken. You don't know because you have not built nothing. We have built programs on these things that the kids use and need and benefit them greatly and benefit our district. Going outside of our contract. And now you slap us in the face after people have been doing it for decades. We've been doing it for like 7-8 years at Richmond High. And after we've done all this work, you just slap us in the face. It is ridiculous. The value you get for those overages goes way beyond what those overages cost you. Next thing, me specifically, this is now going on the 3rd year that we have had money at Richmond High School and all our schools to hire other music teachers. This is the 3rd time I have gone out of my way on my free time to do HR's job to find a candidate to come help me at that school where I teach 6 preps and have built multiple programs for nothing. And for the 3rd year in a row, I'm being told we can't hire them. We don't have the money. You got $175,000 sitting in our Prop 28 fund that's supposed to be sent on personnel. I have a person, write them a contract. Or you could look at what's going on in LAUSD, $77 million lawsuit for misuse of funds. Stop abusing me. Stop abusing my work. I don't know why you don't want me in this district. It is ridiculous. I am a top performer. Good night.
Our next public comment is Elias Avalos.
In 1968, Chicano students protested for the right to equal education. They were placed in underfunded schools, denied the same opportunity as their white peers, and left to struggle in a system that saw them as less deserving. We find ourselves in that exact situation here in WCC USD. Why is it that Richmond High School, John F. Kennedy High School, and schools in this area of Richmond are depleted of their resources and their facilities, while others are constantly renovated and receive tons of programs? Our fundings are cut by millions, year by year by year. But yet we see no benefit to our schools, but we see the constant reestablishment of others. John F. Kennedy High School, Richmond High School, and Stage Elementary all have something in common, is that their facilities have not been updated in over 50 years. Mind you, Stage Elementary School was moved to this same middle school, here at Lavanya Dejan Middle School, only due to the fact that after 81 years, a leakage of asbestos, a cancer-causing mineral, was found in that same facility. How is it that we are putting our children in danger and you are sending them here, cramping them with more students? This is not a place where students can thrive and learn. You are depleting these children of what they're capable of. And I'm here to tell you that we will not stand for systematic oppression in this city. We will not stand for any other ways that you oppress us, that you discriminate against us, you reduce our funding. I'm here to tell you that we will stand together and we fight against whatever causes you to think less of us. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Christina Counts. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, board members. I speak tonight as an educator, as a parent, and as an alum of this district. Cutting positions, along with 90 more positions planned over the next 2 years, is not just a budgetary decision. It's a decision that weakens our schools and our community. We rely on these jobs to stay in our community, and these cuts make it harder for everyone to thrive here. We are already losing students, nearly 3,000 since 2019. Families are leaving districts with more stability and opportunity. These reactive cuts don't stop the bleeding, they make it worse. When families leave, funding follows, creating a cycle of instability. And what are we cutting? Programs like hands-on CTE programs, special education, and support systems. CTE students are engaged and prepared for real careers, and taking away programs from middle schools and not committing to these grants takes away planning for their futures in high school. Meanwhile, the cost of living here continues to rise. Housing costs are 82% higher than the national average. By cutting instead of investing, we make this district less appealing, and not just for our students, but for our entire community. As an educator, it is incredibly difficult to remain in this community when I don't know if I'll have a job until June. And by then, it's too late. This leaves our schools filled with open positions at the start of the year, long-term substitutes, and instability for our teachers and students alike. How can we expect to retain educators and be appealing when we are forced in this climate? If we truly are a community school district, you need to listen to your community who is asking you to speak up for them. We need real long-term 30-year plans that are committed to matching grant funding, sustainable funding, and investment in our students. Kennedy High School students, I am so proud of you for standing up for your community. Students and families, this district belongs to you, and I encourage you to continue standing up for your community. We need a strategic leader, not rash decisions that are reactive. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Kaylee Gefkin.
Hello, board members, staff, teachers, and fellow students. My name is Kaylee, and I am currently a sophomore at Kennedy High School. A month ago, we began to hear about a severe and imminent threat to our community at Kennedy. Since then, we have rallied together, protested, spoken out, and worked together to make sure you hear that we are not okay with what is happening and something needs to be done. Even if we were to accept your misleading data, which you are using to manufacture a financial crisis, it is important to take into account the specific students and educators these cuts will affect. The majority of cuts have been proposed for Kennedy and Richmond High School, two schools made up of many low-income students. The programs the district funds help produce are an important part of ensuring the best futures possible. These programs are also a key part of our schools and the communities within them. An example of this is our academies at Kennedy, which make up half of the electives. The Woodworking Pathway was able to help the Drama Club last year prepare the set for their performance. Meanwhile, the Internationals Academy helps around half the students at Kennedy get the best education possible and graduate even though English may not be their first language. And the Health Academy has helped me realize that I have lots of interesting options for a career that can help me make an impact. The proposed cuts pose a threat to Kennedy community as well. Our community at Kennedy is fostered by the wonderful teachers who give everything to help us every day. Removing teachers in almost every department would cut into that sense of community by removing places for students to feel safe and be themselves. Speaking of students, the cuts of classes and staff the number of students per class will go up at least 10% with an average of 40 kids per class, which is a violation of the teacher's contract and inequitable. If there are less classes offered, as well as less teachers, where will the overflow of students go? My favorite part of Kennedy has always been the powerful community that we become when we work together for something we believe in. Seeing everyone march, make posters, spread the word, and come speak here today shows how strong that community really is. Please reconsider these cuts for the sake of the students, teachers, and community against them.
Our next public comment is Edith Jordan McCormick. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, board. Please forgive me, I literally just put some food in my mouth. My name is Edith Jordan McCormick, and I'm the principal of the Vista Family of Schools. And I came here today because I want to thank the Chamberlain Foundation my colleagues and Unbound Ed. I've been encouraged to share the Vista stories, so it's time. Vista High School is an incredible alternative education center that's existed since 1987. I ended up the principal there in July of 2018, and I'm not gonna lie, I remember crying. And I spent a whole year apologizing because the power of Vista is you can't just walk in the building and just be. You have to learn how to survive within the independent studies world. And what makes this school so unique is you cannot directly transfer. You cannot just walk in and say you want to go there. We go through such an extensive vetting process to make sure that the school is such a right fit for the students and the families. And I want to thank the families who have come out and just really spoken about the work that we're doing. In November of 2018, the then teachers were so kind and they gave me this virtual project to work on. And so I had the pleasure of doing the first iteration of the virtual school in November in 2018. And I wanted everyone to know that because we were never a COVID school. We were a planned response to a crisis, and we did a really good job. And what I want to encourage everyone on this board to do is to really reach out and listen to the Vista families. I know we're going through a really hard time with budget cuts, but when something is really working, allowing it to have its own voice, allowing it to be a part of the school, even though it is a one-off, everything we do there is different and we know it, but we share in the work with everybody. And again, I'm asking that you just please give the families their voice and choice and reach back out to them to make it clear about what the plan is going to be for Vista and the Vista family of schools. Thank you for your time.
Our next public comment is Kelly Carey.
Good evening, board, trustees, Superintendent Moses, and cabinet members. My name is Kelly Carey, and I'm a proud kindergarten teacher at Perry's K-8 School. Tonight, you will hear from teachers, staff, parents, community members, and most importantly, the very reason we show up every day, our students. Let's take a moment to recognize the incredible people in this room. Thank you for all you do. I am here tonight with a clear and urgent message. Rescind the budget cuts. These cuts are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are losses that will be felt in every classroom by every student and by every educator who works tirelessly to create a better future. Stripping away resources weakens our schools, disrupts vital support systems, and sends a dangerous message that educators are not priority. Our students deserve more, not less. We cannot claim to prioritize education while gutting the foundation that holds it up. We need leadership that defends our schools, not dismantles them. I urge you to make the right choice. Reverse these cuts and invest in our students, our teachers, and the future of our district. Our students are watching. Our community is watching. Now is the time to lead with courage. When we fight,
Our next public comment is Marie. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, the Board of Education. My name's Marie. I've spoken several times. I am a parent of 2 special needs children, and I am also a speech therapist in the district. I am asking you to please dig down deep in your heart to consider taking away the budget cuts. Those are going to deeply impact our students in every school, in every way. I ask you to look at other alternatives. I know there has to be a rainy day fund somewhere. There is money, because I know that when I was going to all the STEAG meetings, all of a sudden there was money so that, you know, this whole new relocation school could be set up. And I'm like, where'd all this money come from? Aha, it was somewhere in a rainy day fund. So I just know that if you guys really look down at the budget and look at these different funds, there is money somewhere. Please stop the budget cuts. Also, I'm asking, can you guys please restart the sub-budget committee? I understand that it stopped a while ago, but in these committees, I understand that you guys are able to talk to the different unions and to different people. And you can come together, you can speak to the Teamsters and to the UTR reps, and you guys can discuss things. Because from what I'm seeing, there's no discussion between the different organizations. And when there's no communication, that is when all the breakdown happen, rumors happen. But I really urge you, please start to communicate. Thank you very much.
Our next public comment is Mark Mitchell.
Well, I didn't sign up for this public comment. I signed up for the agenda items. So I signed up for the consent agenda.
President Reckler, the problem is that Mr. Mitchell signed up for C9, which is in consent. So
Yeah.
we don't do public comment in consent. So that's why I had asked staff to put it in public, the regular public comment.
Okay,
Is that okay, Mr. Mitchell?
yes. All right, good evening, President Reckler and Superintendent Moses, Board and Cabinet. I wanted to address the issue of the letter of concern issued by the district to A Method Charter Schools regarding the middle school they run in our district. The letter is a good start. It addresses one significant area of deficiency of that charter organization, and that's finances. But there are other significant areas of concern the letter does not address. So I would ask President Reckler and Dr. Moses to request the file from Oakland Unified School District, which just revoked the charter of a sibling charter school in that district run by the same charter maintenance organization. There are significant issues regarding governance, self-dealing, the appearance of corruption, family members getting contracts and being placed on the board of governance. So those issues were of utmost concern to the Oakland Unified School District, which in fact revoked the charter of this Oakland Charter High School. Those same issues exist for the Richmond Charter Academy because it's run by the same charter maintenance organization. It's not a separate organization here in Richmond. It's the same group. So I would ask that another letter of concern be issued in that regard. There's also a very suspicious pattern of student achievement going precipitously upward from the 22-23 to the 23-24 school year after years of less than acceptable student achievement below district standards. All of a sudden, student achievement skyrocketed the year that the charter is up for renewal. But that is very suspicious because the number of students tested is much, much less than the previous year, seeming to indicate that they could have just tested the higher performing students while the others were not perhaps tested. We need to look into this and hold this charter accountable. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Delon Harrison. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, board. Thank you guys for letting me speak. I just want to say that there's some new policies going on right now that is calling people to have to put in requests for trips and programs and things like that where you're taking 8 weeks, 6 weeks, and we're 8 and 6 weeks in the school year. You can't get a program or an activity, and most of these things that are being stopped are things that are affecting Black and African American children. And I'm concerned the HBCU tour at Richmond High has been stopped because there's a request for fingerprints, and that's new. There's vendors that's servicing our children that have been stopped because now we have a new way of fingerprinting. And I feel starting that in the middle of the school year when we're waiting on services is a disservice to our children. And whoever decided to do that and then put these weights Parents are not being able to go on Title I trips that we should be able to get training for so we can better serve and work in partnership with the district. I just feel that this has created chaos. It's created a way that our children won't get things that they're supposed to get, and then the money can be reallocated to something that's nothing to do with our children. And I feel that the district should have thought about a better way to roll this out so that the children won't be getting harmed, that we can get the needs met of fingerprinting without it being a new system that's going to take 8 weeks and take away from our children's activities and take away from parent training experiences that we are supposed to be planning in August. So if we're going to do a new system of how we pay, we should have rolled it out so vendors and parents and students can have that information in a timely manner where the money's not reallocated because we didn't have the information we needed. I'm complete.
Our next public comment is Sky Nelson.
I think what we're up against is a lack of creativity. It may feel like we have options, no options. We feel like we have no options. I don't buy that. In the past month, since realizing that community building is central to the budget crisis, we handed out flyers to 1,000 people, connected with parents, teachers, and students, started a new online group. Each day, I'm overwhelmed by the number of things I could do to help. Got a few suggestions. Go where the people are, grocery stores, movie theaters, Chuck E. Cheese. Every interaction is a chance to make people feel like they matter. Second, stand with us in challenging the unfair school funding system based on average daily attendance. Challenge ADA. Instead of just telling us to cut back, tell the state and the people of California that this is not working. Third, show the community respect. Use your influence to boost attendance at board meetings, improve the Zoom experience so people aren't scrambling to unmute, and consider moving your seats down from the stage. Stand with us. Community is fun and creative. If you have the words with you in the back, I'd like you to sing with me. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people. They say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us.
Our next public comment is Pedro. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody, especially the students in the auditorium, the Teamsters, and the UTR. Board, you have failed the students, and they're here to let you know that you're failing them. You're spending way too much money on consultants and other stuff. That's where your cuts should start. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a property owner. My taxes are being wasted. You shouldn't be taking away the programs like you've taken the trades training from the high schools. You're taking more now. That's just failing the students. And I guess the best thing to do is to cut consultants. Have the people in those positions do their job. Make sure your contractors are doing their job and not give you something deficient and then have to spend more money to fix it. You know, Robin Williams said it best. Politicians are like diapers. You need to change them frequently. And if you don't correct this attitude and not giving the students what they need, it's time for the board to be changed. because this is ridiculous. You cut and cut at the lowest wages instead of cutting from the top where you have the surplus. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Mariana Calvario.
Please call the next speaker.
Mariana Calvario.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mariana Calvario, and I'm the Vice President of the class of 2025 at Kennedy High School. I'm here today to express my frustration towards with the district, with the decisions that that are being made at the district board, which is not only affecting our teachers, but our future of our students who will walk through Kennedy doors. At the recent board meeting, the United Teachers of Richmond shared that the district is legally required to save 3% of their funds as a reserve. However, the latest reports show that the district is saving 4 times that amount. This is not only a misuse of our taxes, but also the money that should be reinvested in our education. It feels as though the very thing that we need the most, better resources for our students, is the last thing on your minds. Kennedy's pathways such as ITA, health, welding, and others are what makes our school stand out. These programs are the reason why people even consider Kennedy when they talk about high schools. So why are we looking to take them away? The ITA Academy has a profound impact on me personally, not because I'm passionate about technology, but because of the environment. Ms. Perez, one of the teachers you want to cut off from day one in her class, I've been encouraged to explore my creativity, step out of my comfort zone, and learn valuable skills such as computer literacy, editing, and photo manipulation. As a student who gives tours to newcomers, many of whom are non-English speakers, I've seen firsthand the relief they feel when they're introduced to a Spanish-speaking teacher. It makes a huge difference in their transitioning to a new school, and it's something you can't put a price on. In conclusion, I ask you to reflect on what truly matters, the future of our students and the quality of education we have.
Our next public comment is Sandeep. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay. Good evening, board members. My name's Sandeep Surajbansi. I'm a parent of 3 students at the Vista Virtual Schools. I'm here to stress today the positive impact the school's made for our family and the importance of keeping our teachers. Every year I've spoken, and every year we've lost more teachers. I'm tired of being reduced to nothing. I feel like our school needs some mercy. We're dwindling away at your hands. You have money, it's somewhere, it's being misrepresented. Please look deeper into those pockets and please give our teachers back. They have made such an important contribution to my kids' lives. I have the most personalized education I could ever ask for that I can't find in a in-house school where my kids had to go to school every day. They're schooling from home. They have personalized education. They have a teacher that actually cares about them, knows them so well, and can walk them through any item they're having difficulty with. The teachers are amazing at Vista. You can't keep these teachers out of our hands. I feel for Kennedy, I feel for Richmond, I feel for all these other schools, but I really am hurt at seeing my school dwindle away. We have lost so many teachers over the past few years. Just please show some mercy. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Genesis Vieira Sanchez.
Good evening, Board Trustees and everyone here tonight. My name is Genesis Rita Sanchez and I'm a senior at Kennedy High School. I stand here before you tonight not just as a concerned student, but as someone who is angry. Angry at the reckless decision to cut our teachers, the very people who shape our futures. These cuts are not just numbers on a budget sheet. They are real people, mentors, role models, and educators who dedicate their lives to helping students succeed. Now they are being pushed aside as if their work doesn't matter. But let's be clear, this isn't just about teachers losing their jobs. It's about students losing their education. It's about overcrowded classrooms, exhausted teachers, and a school system that values cost-cutting over quality learning. My younger brothers are still in this district. What kind of future are they being left with? Fewer teachers mean less students, less attention for students, fewer programs, and weaker education for the next generation. We are told that education is the key to success. So why are we slamming the door shut on those who provide it? Why are we treating education like an expense instead of an investment? These decisions don't just hurt teachers. They hurt students, families, and the entire community. And here's what makes it worse. These teachers dedicate their entire lives to these students. They work long hours, they spend their own money on supplies, and in the most tragic situations, they are conditioned to take a bullet to protect us. They are asked to put their lives on the line, and yet they are treated as if though they are disposable. I refuse to accept that this is the best that the district can offer us. I refuse to watch my brothers, my peers, and future students pay the price for decisions made not considering their futures. These cuts take away not just jobs, but opportunities, dreams, and the promise of a better tomorrow. You must do better.
Our next public comment is Hey One. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, school board members. I'm here tonight to address the critical need for increased awareness of Vista Virtual Academy. Currently, Vista Virtual Academy suffers from a near zero public awareness. This is a significant missed opportunity for our district. Just this week, we welcomed 2 new elementary students, one coming from a charter school, demonstrating the clear overlap and demand for a virtual option. This lack of awareness is concerning, especially when we consider the challenges some families face. We know that in-person learning isn't always the best fit for every student. Vista Virtual Academy offers a safe, flexible, and high-quality online learning environment that could be a lifeline for students facing issues like bullying, re-engaging the disengaged students, or needing alternative learning. My concern, first, transfer office inconsistencies. We've heard numerous reports of inconsistency, including misinformation regarding school closure. This directly impacts enrollment, and we need to ensure accurate and timely information is provided. Second, communication team potential. Vista Virtual Academy is a viable and in-demand solution for our district, community, and students. It offers a powerful, concrete, and long-term sustainable solution that could benefit the entire district with more enrollment and funding. It offers a powerful strategy to reverse enrollment decline, aid in teacher recruitment and retention, and re-engage the disengaged student population through the learning coach model. Enrollment equals funding. At approximately $23,000 per student, the return on targeted marketing for Vista Virtual is substantial. Capturing just 1% could mean $26 million for our district and neighboring districts, or $35 million for our district and neighboring 7 districts. I want to ask you, how do we leverage the comm team to send out a parent square announcement so people know about the choice? And how can the community effectively help and assist in raising awareness? I will follow up with an email. Thank you so much.
Our next public comment is Alexia Gonzalez. Next public comment is Jasmine Sanchez.
Hello? Hello? Okay.
Hello, my name's Jasmine Sanchez. I'm currently a senior at Kennedy High. Here we stand today as a united community demanding the education we deserve. In January, 75 teacher layoffs were approved and over 200 positions remain vacant. And the district claimed that there would be no layoffs, yet our teachers and programs are at risk. That's money meant for our teachers, our classrooms, and our future. I care about all of our programs. All of our students deserve the opportunities given, and the fact that you want to take that away is appalling. Our school has the most colored people with the most newcomers. Shouldn't we be supported instead of being left with breadcrumbs and the long end of the stick? Our education is not an afterthought. Our teachers are not something to just throw away. So we ask, what are you doing to support your students? What are you doing to protect our teachers? And we are here, we are watching, and we will not stop fighting. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Antoinette Boyd. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Next public comment is Michelle Seymour. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Michelle Seymour, and I'm the College and Career Counselor at El Cerrito High School. Today, I had a conversation with the Director of HR where she informed me that I'm being cut and I do not have a job next year. She told me that because the board approved the solvency plan with the approved cut of one counselor FTE, that I am being that FTE and that I'm being cut. She told me there's no funding for my position next year. Since I do not have a caseload but serve all 1,441 students at ECHS, by cutting me as a counselor, you are removing vital counseling supports and services from an entire school. By cutting me, you have opened a college and career counselor position when the UTR contract stipulates there must be one college and career counselor per high school site. You will now need to fill my position. If another counselor transfers in, then their position is now open. And after all the shuffling that could happen is done, we are still left with an open counselor position that needs to be filled. When we are already understaffed and there are current K-8 counselor positions posted in EdJoin, along with an empty 0.7 at EC and several points over at other schools, I do not understand how I'm being cut as your one counselor FTE. I relocated here in August to your district over 400 miles, and I cannot believe the dishonesty and lack of transparency I'm experiencing. I chose WCC USD because I thought they cared about the students and they understood the necessity of school counseling services. The district has proclaimed that they want to give all students equitable access to services and education, but please explain how cutting counselor services is accomplishing that goal. Furthermore, the counseling department has offered up several opportunities for grants to be committed and connected with you guys, and you say there's no money or funds available, but we're giving you options to take advantage of those funds. And you are selling us no or making us wait. I have loved being the college and career counselor for ECHS, and I'm sadly deepened that students next year will not have the same opportunities that students have had this year. I would like to speak to the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources to better understand the board's decisions.
Our next public comment is Cherish Starks.
Hola, mi nombre es Cruz Areli y vengo apoyando a la Kennedy High School. Soy uno de los tantos estudiantes que estamos estudiando en esta escuela, como para que nos quiten a nuestros maestros, a nuestros programas educativos. Hoy exigimos salvar a nuestra escuela y que paguen lo que merecen nuestros maestros. Si nos quitan a nuestros maestros, nos quitan las oportunidades de aprender y tener un mejor futuro. Y la educación es importante como para recortar a los maestros que nos ayudan a hablar el idioma de este país. Gracias.
Our next public comment is A. Brunetti. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I'm here to discuss promoting our online virtual school. By the way, has everyone here in attendance or listening heard about the K-12 Vista Virtual Academy? I guess by now you have. We've had a few wonderful speakers. If not, our district offers a K-12 online comprehensive independent study program. Come check it out if you think it would be right for you and your child. I thought that I'd put that plug in for us in our program because strangely many people in our district haven't even heard of us. And that's why I'm here, to promote our virtual program. To be clear, this is not a distance learning program, but an alternative hybrid independent study program. I also have a few proactive ideas. Dr. Moses, would it be possible for you to talk to all of your principals at the principal meetings and have them reach out to those families who have chronic absences and ask them to check out our program? Maybe we are a better fit than in person, for them. In this way, we would increase the ADA that we are losing from their absences, and most importantly, the students would actually be learning. I've heard there's a fear that we're poaching from our schools, but on the contrary, if we were to enlist students with chronic absentees, it'd be a win-win for everybody. Secondly, can we reach out to those students who are thinking about or already attending charter schools? We're already serving students from other districts, and I just got a couple new students this week that came from charter schools. Let's keep those students here, okay? Let's get some of those who are not satisfied with our in-person offerings and give them a better option instead of losing them to charters. Let's get this program advertised to everybody in this district, at every school, and around the community, so that everybody knows what we offer. We are a virtual academy. We are the wave of the future. We are successful. We are an alternative school. Use us, advertise us. And I don't believe that any of the board members, with the exception of one, nor the current superintendent, has ever even visited our classes. Definitely not mine.
Our next public comment is Julissa Blandon.
Good evening, fellow board members. I hope you are doing well today because I'd like to tell you that my school isn't. In fact, we live in fear for our teachers, for my fellow students, and for my future. My name is Julissa Blandon, a senior and leadership president of Kennedy High School, and I'm one of the organizers of our 2 student-led rallies I'm sure you have seen. If you haven't gotten the message yet, the proposed budget cuts, as we have clearly shown, hurt us. You have seen and heard all of our voices, yet you cowered to do the right thing. These cuts will irreversibly change the future of our students and teachers. Every year, the district makes promises our teachers won't be cut, and yet here we are. Other districts stand with their teachers and have chosen no teacher cuts. Why couldn't the district do the same? When will these promises be kept? Kennedy High School is exhausted of receiving nothing. Why don't our schools in Richmond deserve the best? You want student voices, yet you get any chance to silence us. Our pathways, ITA program, construction, welding, and the health academy are in danger. A future career path, an example for our fellow students in this district. My teachers have inspired me and pushed me to greatness, and I'm here on behalf of them, the ones you refuse to answer to. I ask of you to do your part because our teachers do theirs. We ask you to listen and listen clear to the voices today who speak to you because these voices are the reason you all have a job. You may have the power, but we have the voice. Lastly, what are your values if not your district? It's time to reflect. It's time to listen. It's time to adjust. And it's time to say no to cuts. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Julia Hart. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I'm a parent in the district of hopefully a future West Contra Costa student. And I was really disheartened to hear about all the layoff notices and budget cuts that were going out to teachers. And then at the same time, I saw on Facebook that you're hiring. And what it reminded me of is what Elon Musk and his cronies in Doge are doing. They're laying off people, demoralizing the workforce. Your teachers are going to leave when they get layoff notices, and at the same time, you're going to need to hire them back. So it really does not give me confidence as a parent that this district knows what they're doing. I really hope that you will consider rescinding these layoff notices and budget cuts so that we can give our students in this district the stability that they deserve. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Emily Pacheco. Emily Pacheco.
That's me. I forgot my name. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey guys. Hey. Go ahead. Raise your hand. Who knows how to multiply? Go ahead. Show me. Do you know how to multiply? Multiply. I want to know, do you know how to multiply? What about some addition? Do we need to work on our math skills? Because I actually I happen to be a math teacher. Can I see any other math teachers in the house? Let's do it. Woo! All right, so we are angry. You're annoyed. Go ahead and open your ears, open your hearts. Start figuring out where the money is, where it went, how to add, how to subtract. Figure out what a percentage is so you can save a little and use it in the future for these amazing kids. Go ahead and give it up for the kids. Okay, my time's up. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night. Everybody, when we fight, okay, good night.
Our next public comment is Harvey McNabb. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Heather Harvey McNabb, and I am the proud parent of two amazing children that attend Vista Virtual Academy, where teamwork makes the dream work. We shouldn't be sacrificing a quality education for our children by continuing to make cuts. WCCUSD is not giving our students and teachers the opportunities or funding and resources to grow this extraordinary program. We could be welcoming students from neighboring districts, but the district has not been supporting the school to create relationships with other districts. We could be reaching out to families in our own district that are experiencing chronic absenteeism and offering them an alternative way to learn. By increasing exposure and gaining new enrollment, it would only help bring more money to our district for increased attendance. More cuts again force the reorganization of teachers and change the entire school structure, leaving our children to pay the price and putting their education at risk. You should be investing in our children's futures, not robbing them of the quality education they deserve. These are the future members and leaders of our communities. Our children are thriving, and without this program, many children will suffer. This program is truly unique and absolutely irreplaceable. Cutting the elementary program in any way may save a few dollars, but it will undoubtedly be at the sacrifice of the students, current and future. Vista not only creates independent and successful learners, but it also is a way to retain some students who would otherwise give up on school altogether. How unfortunate it would be to begin the path of taking away the one thing that keeps some of these students in school. I implore you to reconsider the detrimental effects making these cuts to the virtual academy will cause to our students, our teachers, and our communities. It is essential that our children, our future leaders, receive a quality education that prepares them for becoming successful adults. I ask all of you to think long and hard about the decisions you are about to make. Your decisions will last a lifetime. I am here tonight standing in solidarity with my fellow Teamsters as well as UTR, begging that you hear our voices and stop the planned layoffs and invest in our students.
Our next public comment is Daniel Lopez Quadra. Daniel Lopez. Francis Fisher. Francis. Araceli Velasquez.
Okay. Sorry. Um, my name is Araceli Velasquez, and I am a student at Kennedy High School. I want to start off by saying that when I heard about these budget cuts, I was not happy about it. You expect your own children to have good grades, have enough credits to graduate and learn new things in high school, have every nice thing. Thank you. Have every nice thing that the district has to offer at their school. But when it comes to other schools like Kennedy High School and Richmond High School, specifically those two high schools, you expect them to just keep going to school, even when you take away our pathways and get rid of teachers. But how can students continue to keep going if you're going to get rid of our teachers? Have you thought about the new freshmen? How will they feel when they get to senior year and find out they can't graduate because they won't have enough credits? How will they feel when they find out they won't be able to experience being in a health class or welding, even though they were told they would be able to experience that? Would you then be proud of yourself for cutting off teachers, getting rid of those pathways? Will that make your ego feel any better? You see yourselves all high and mighty that just because you have money and power to cut our pathways, we won't do anything about it. But in reality, you only have money, you lack of power. Students at Kennedy High School and Richmond High School have the power because we are united as one. When we set our minds to a goal, we go for it together. We don't want you to get rid of our electives and our teachers. We will make sure you won't. We will keep fighting for what is right. We'll keep fighting not just for our sake, but for our future.
Our next public comment is Decker. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Decker. Next public comment is Kushawi Narachania. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Kushali Narachani. I'm a parent of a student at Hilltop. I'd like to first just say thank you to Lizzie, Aleas, Callie, Mariana, Genesis, Jasmine, Cheris, Julissa. I might have missed another one, but all the students who have spoken today, your voice is strong and powerful. You are the future, and I'm proud to be a part of a district that has student voice like this. To the board, I come here just asking you for a few things. One, hear the voices of your community. It is clear that the decisions that were made in the last board meeting are not the ones that reflect this community. And two, to do this, to take action, is to first to actually stop and rescind the cuts that are going forward, and to actually have something that shows the community all the thought and all the thought, criteria, comparisons, analysis done for what cuts need to be made. I do understand that the district is in a budget deficit and there are tough decisions to be made. Those decisions should not come at the cost of our students and our staff who are working so hard, tirelessly for our students. And so I ask for clarity on why these cuts, why not something else? Does this actually represent the values of the district? And is this actually going to make a difference? There's plenty of research that shows that mass layoffs are detrimental to any organization, let alone school districts. The voices, again, are very clear here, and I ask for a stop on the cuts, clarity and openness on the process for the budget before moving forward with anything else. Thank you for your time.
Next public comment is Finley Oriana. Finley Oriana. McKaylee Gonzalez.
Hi, my name's McKaylee and I'm from Kennedy High School. I'm a sophomore and I'm here speaking to you today about what the school board is doing to our school and how it affects us in this district. The school board needs to understand that they are in control of our future and our community and how it affects us and our teachers at Kennedy High. They want to take away our electives, pathways, English teachers, math teachers, and special educational teachers. And for what? Just for you guys to get money and feel better about yourselves? How does that make you have happiness knowing that you want to destroy people and how they want to become in their lives? You have nothing but your money to make you feel better. People that want to be in journalism, theater, band, and engineering won't have the community they have to be what they want to be when they grow up. And for what? Just for you to have money in your pockets and feel better about yourselves. This makes me angry because it's not even someone, it is just a sub that wasn't even voted in her priority as a student that is in a lot of classes, but there's no teacher just because of subs, because you guys want to cut. I hate when teachers take their jobs too seriously, and I hate when subs especially take their jobs too seriously because you guys are not the bosses and you guys don't know anything. I have learned a lot from the teachers that I have been in. I know my rights and I know what I want to be. Knowing that I might not have body systems upsets me because I want to help people, unlike you guys that just want to make people that.
I'm sorry if I can interrupt. I believe we're at the 1 hour mark. Would you be able to tell us how many more public comments are left? I'm sorry, I can't hear that. 36. Board, would you like to continue for another hour? That's just in person. Can you tell what's online? Okay, so there's like 70. Would you like to continue for another hour at 1 minute per? We'll start down at this end.
Yes.
A strong yes. Yes.
Sorry, President, we couldn't hear you. What you?
I'm sorry. Would you like to extend public comment for 1 more hour at 1 minute per? Yes and yes?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, go ahead. We'll continue for another hour at 1 minute.
Next public comment is Shelley Wharton. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Hi, I'm here in strong support along with many other amazing educators and awesome student voices tonight to rescind the budget cuts that have happened this year and every year that I've been in the district. It's threatened. I'm a teacher in the Internationals Academy at Richmond High. I'm so proud to be a teacher in the International Academy. I have the best students, and we thrive because we have a 7-period schedule where our students are able to access electives with those 7 periods. Now that we are moving to 6 periods because of the budget cuts, students will not have access to electives, so they'll have ELD as their only choice. I don't see that as any way to dream or have access to the choices that matter in this life. Anyway, I'm here to stand in strong support with my colleagues and the amazing members of the student body at Richmond High and Kennedy. Thank you.
Next public comment is Rolando Diaz. Rolando Diaz. Hector Perez Figueroa.
Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Hector.
Hola, me llamo Anaí Ruiz Moncada y los dos somos estudiantes de la preparatoria Kennedy. Los dos estamos muy enojados por los recientes cortes de los programas. Y aunque no lo estoy diciendo en inglés, espero que ustedes estén muy confundidos porque para saber cómo se sienten los otros estudiantes cuando quitas estos recursos a estas personas. Voy a perder mucho de mi educación si quitan mis maestros y prefiero no hacer eso porque no voy a tener el reconocimiento que merezco cuando me gradúe. Nomás me falta un año para completar todas mis cosas. Gracias.
Ms. Perez, Mr. Vigil, Ms. Avendaño, Ms. Yanagihara, and Mr. Porter, and many teachers of our school.
Okay, I'll go ahead and allow it. Go ahead.
All right. So many of us are benefiting from these pathways, benefiting from our teachers, and all of a sudden you want to remove that. Okay, look, we all care for our teachers, we care for our pathways, and all those names I just mentioned, you probably don't even know them. You probably know them as, oh, the ITA teacher, oh, the history teacher. Yeah, let's just get them away. No, they are our teachers. Like I said, Ms. Perez, Mr. Vigil, Ms. Avendaño, Ms. Yanagihara, Mr. Porter, and so many others. They are our teachers, and we're not about to lose them.
Our next public comment is Carmen Martinez. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, board members, students, and community members. My name is Carmen, and I'm a proud former WCC USC student, a Richmond resident, and a community advocate who has done workshops and trainings at these schools. That is why I'm speaking tonight, to urge you to reverse the devastating cuts that will destabilize our schools, harm our students, and drive families and educators out of our district. That is not what we want. These academies and pathways are at risk of being eliminated. These programs are lifelines for our students, providing them with opportunities, mentorship, and career readiness. The district's recent communication claimed there would be no immediate teacher layoffs, yet the resolution before you tells a different story. The fiscal solvency plan originally called for the 26 reductions. Now that number has tripled to 75 UTR educators with no communication or collaboration with the union. Classified positions, including aides with scouts, instructional support staff, and other critical student resources are also on the chopping block, yet Teamsters were not consulted either.
Our next public comment is Camille Salicini.
Good evening, board members, and especially the student board members. I really appreciate you guys and what you do. So thank you. My name is Camille Salucci, and I'm a parent of an El Cerrito High School freshman who's been in the district since she was kinder. And we love this district, and we especially love the incredible teachers and staff that give tirelessly and extensively to our kids to make our kids' futures brighter. You have an incredible opportunity right now in a world of so much uncertainty to create some certainty. Things like signing the memorandum that's 94.4% approved. In this case, you'd actually save money because that allows teachers and staff to plan next year instead of not having certainty and creating extra anxiety. So please, Dr. Moses, sign this memorandum for them and take the advantage of doing something.
Our next public comment is Crystal Bannigan. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to come and speak again at this board meeting because I can see how many people are passionate about these board cuts. But I have to say, community, I'm disappointed. I feel like every board meeting, there are so many people who come and yell at the board for things that might be beyond their control, right? You never know. And these are community people. These are our neighbors as well that you're yelling and screaming at because they are doing a job. And the real way that I feel you can make a difference is to get on your school's SSC, get on your school's APAC, talk to your school's principal. Where are you guys at those meetings? I don't see you. I don't see students on the DLCAP. We need students on these boards and commissions. I'm with you, but come on, get with me. Boom.
Our next public comment is Ralston Soong.
All right. I'm a teacher at Kennedy High School for 27 years. Good. All right. Anyway, first thing, I'm really concerned about the budget cuts. The ones that concern me the most should also concern the whole district as a whole. That is CTE, career technical programs. We cannot cut them. That's the future of education. All right. Two, can you guys actually trust the budget the district provided? For example, I kind of been looking at the actuals every year, the actual number, the budget numbers. And if I remember correctly, for 4 or 5 years running, we run what's the number? $126 million cash balance. All right. So I don't know what happened to it. All right. Maybe you guys should look at the numbers. All right. So what we actually.
Our next public comment is Cindy Ortegon. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute
Hi,
yourself.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Cindy Ortegon. I am a proud parent of 3 children who proudly attend Vista High School K through 12 Virtual Academy. My daughter was introduced to virtual learning through her first form of education because of COVID. After seeing how successful my daughter Michelle was, I knew this was something we wanted long term. Now, all 3 of my children have been getting their education at Virtual Vista Academy and excelling more than their fellow friends who attend other school districts. This should be our priority for our district to keep funding and help promoting this school to other schools who have students with attendance problems or have had problems with learning in large classroom settings. This will bring more revenue to WCCUSD. I have so many parents interested in enrolling their kindergartners and second graders after seeing my children's success in bilingual reading and writing, mathematics, and history knowledge. But now I and other parents are concerned and angry to think that the people who we voted for
Please
might
don't take away. Please don't take away my school or teachers. Vista Virtual Academy is our family. Keep our teachers.
Our next public comment is Kumi Yanagihara.
Good evening, board trustees and interim superintendent Moses. Hector gave me a pretty fantastic introduction, but my name is Kumiana Gihara, and I'm a fourth-year teacher at Kennedy. I teach in two areas that are affected by these approved budget cuts, the science department, which is losing one teaching position, and the internationals academy. Nothing really says we don't care about kids the way y'all have decided to only provide funding for bare bones graduation requirements. In this day and age, with the competition for higher education fiercer than ever before, students take more than just the 2 years of science required to graduate high school. Our kids know that there is so much more that a public school education can offer beyond the bare minimum, or there was, until budget cuts year after year after year have stripped our schools to what we have today. By only giving schools enough funding so their students can graduate with the minimum number of credits, you're saying you don't care where they go once they graduate. By not providing funding for academies and pathways, you're saying you don't find value in programs that support specific student wants and needs, whether that be English language support or a future in the fields of medicine or tech or welding or construction.
Our next public comment is Maisha Harris Gash. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, one, I want to say to the students of Kennedy High School, you guys have been so inspiring the last 2 days. And I want you to know that one of your classmates who was on my caseload, and she is on the autism spectrum, she has been in the streets with y'all today, and she walked out with y'all yesterday. So you don't know how great that is for her and her development as a young person. Also, to the people who are going to be demolishing Kennedy, you need to give us another day for Kennedy alum to come. Y'all act like we don't plan our lives. People got kids and grandkids, and their kids have activities on weekends, and you gave us very little time to plan for that. Y'all not going to tear the school down as long as we're in the building, and I think at least Kennedy graduates on June the 6th. So we need a date in April, and whatever y'all need to do to pre-plan to demolish it, fine. But that is so disrespectful. There's no care and no concern. So I strongly encourage the board to push for a new date for Kennedy to come.
Our next public comment is Cristina Huerta.
Thank you. If you didn't hear, my name is Cristina Huerta. I am a proud teacher at Kennedy High School, and I'm here representing the hundreds of students at Kennedy who are being told that they do not deserve electives and a well-rounded education. Students who thrive in our career pathways are suddenly learning that their plans have to change because opportunities are being taken away. Those hired and elected to represent them have made decisions that destabilize our schools. How is it that so many who claim to serve this community don't understand what our community needs? I hope you have listened to all the students and community members who've spoken tonight. And if you need more clarity, come to Kennedy. Sit down with our students. They would love to talk to you. Listen to what they need and actually do the job you're supposed to do. But if you decide to continue with the cuts, then I'm sure I'll see all of you subbing at Kennedy in August.
Our next public comment is Rodney Alamo Brown. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'd like to say good evening, board. This is Rodney Alamo Brown, a community advocate here in the city of Richmond, California. I don't know if anyone knows it, but today is the 5th anniversary of the West Contra Costa Unified School District was shut down, be it COVID. And here we are talking about releasing teachers, unfortunately. As we all know, there's districts that surround us that's dealing with the same epidemic of releasing teachers based on budget concerns. I think we all need to come to the same strong realization of what's transpiring, not only in the Department of Education, but what's going on within the sector of the White House as well. We're all under immense pressure. I think the board is doing the best that they possibly can. As we know, every so often, these situations occur where there's budget cuts that happens, but we all are aware of the proverbial kicking the can down the road. And unfortunately, these things have to happen in order for the school to continue as such. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Our next public comment is Jeffrey Bean. Jeffrey Bean. Next comment is Don Gosney.
Thank you. You know, UTR recently made a 74-minute presentation to the Richmond City Council sharing data and opinions. And for all we know, this was 100% accurate and to the point. My concern then and now is that this was a one-sided presentation to a council fully in support of their partners in the UTR. No one from the district was invited to respond. When I brought this up to Dr. Moses, she replied that she would be presenting at the next meeting. That was last night, and we heard and saw nothing. If the district wants UTR to be the only voice heard, so be it. The council came to this meeting predisposed to support their political partners. Fair and balanced, right? Trying to explain your viewpoints at these meetings is not the same. The audience is different, and we really can't hear or understand what's happening here. And that this needs to be a real discussion. Anyone familiar with the checkout stand tabloids is familiar with the slogan, "Inquiring minds want to know." And this is certainly the case here. By the way, some members of that city council have already reached out to strong-armed board members.
Our next public comment is Claudia Jimenez. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Claudia Jimenez. I am Richmond City Council in District 6, and I am here to advocate for not having these cuts. I think the school board needs to be more transparent to show the finances, the real finances to the community. As the last speaker spoke, we have UTR presenting some of the information. And I had been asking the staff at the school board to send finance information, like what are the assumptions, what are the balance sheet, to be more transparent about what the really finances are, and see if these cuts are really needed. I think the board needs to be more firm to show that before making any cuts to the services that we really need in our communities. It will be a shame if the cuts are coming tonight without having this information.
Our next public comment is Sarah Creeley.
My name is Sarah Creeley. I have been teaching with this district for 33 years. I have two children, both who have gone to our public schools their whole life. My son graduated from De Anza. He's a journeyman now. He graduated in 2011. My daughter graduated in 2013 from Hercules High School. They had so much more than what you are giving these children today. It is wrong. It is wrong. They had science teachers, they had math teachers. Now students go to science and math, they have a Chromebook. It's unforgivable. It is not okay. It is not okay. I was a special ed teacher. It is not okay that you are cutting speech and you're cutting one-on-one aids that will help autistic children be able to be in class, in mainstream class. You are hurting children. My sign says, "Help WCCUSD students." Don't hurt them. You are responsible.
Our next public comment is Andrea Hernandez. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Hernandez. I'm a third-year health teacher at Kennedy High School. I'm also a WCC USD alum. I graduated from Richmond High School in 2015, and I'm a proud product of the Health Academy at RHS. I started the health pathway at Kennedy High School 3 years ago with only one class, and have poured my entire heart into expanding the program and providing the best resources I can as a one-person pathway. I now teach 3 courses. We offer technical training, hands-on experience, internship opportunities, connections to local programs, and so much more. Today, as students walked out and arrived at the district office, they were not allowed to enter the building, and on top of that, all the windows were immediately shut. They weren't given the platform to speak their concerns or acknowledged, but I'm sure you still heard them loud and clear. Stop trying to instill fear with contradicting messages. It isn't working. Students' actions the last 2 days have demonstrated that. Students at Kennedy High School, I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Karen Armstead. Our next comment is Valeria Barahona.
Good night, school board, teachers, and families. My name is Santiago Rodriguez. I'm from Colombia.
And I'm Valeria Barahona, and I'm from El Salvador.
And today we will speak on behalf of the students in Richmond High School International Academy to ask that they do not eliminate MOUs and the international program. Elective classes allow the students to discover their talents and to prepare for the future. We don't all learn at the same way. Unlimited or education harm us. If you don't allow our school to have an MOU, then we can take an elective classes.
The international program is essential for those who have been in the country for less than 2 years. It not only teaches English, but also helps to integrate into the culture and adapt to the educational system. Without this support, many students will face barriers that will hinder their success. We ask you to reconsider this decision. Our diversity is a strength, and our education must reflect it.
Thank you.
Our next public comment is Jackie Avendaño. Please unmute yourself.
Great, don't start the time. My name is Jackie Avendaño, and I'm an alumni from WCC USD. I went on to graduate with my bachelor's at UCLA and received my master's in education from Stanford University. I decided to return to my community to teach students at Kennedy High School who I see in myself. Just like my younger self, students at Kennedy High School and throughout the district deserve qualified teachers and a quality education. Instead of trying to put fear in students who decided to walk out, listen to our youth at Kennedy High School and Richmond High who are using their First Amendment right to peacefully protest for what they deserve. It is no secret that Kennedy is stereotyped, frowned down upon, and critiqued for every little misstep. It is no secret that our schools alongside Richmond High has been unjustifiably left on the back burner of the district's priorities and broken promises. Keep your promise to not cut teachers and support the work that passionate and caring teachers are doing at our sites. At Kennedy, we are at risk at losing pathways.
Our next public comment is Sarah Talcott. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening to everyone. Saludos a todos nuestros miembros valorados de nuestra comunidad. My name is Sarah Talcott. I'm a school psychologist at Lincoln Elementary. I'm a WCC USD alum as well. grew up in what was then Richmond Unified School District that faced bankruptcy when I was in middle school. I'm here to speak out against the proposed budget cuts to our already underfunded special education program, in particular to the cuts to our speech pathologists, paraprofessionals, and mental health services. We need better training and support for our special education teachers and support staff who work tirelessly to support students with disabilities. We know that the incoming presidential administration does not care about us, about educating our youth, and especially not our students with disabilities. I expect the leaders of this district, representing some of the most diverse and progressive communities across the country, to do better for us. Our students and families deserve better. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Sue Wilson.
Good evening, school board. I'm here tonight reading a comment from City Council member Sue Wilson, who's District 5, as well as myself, Doria Robinson, from City Council member District 3. So we are here tonight to stand with our students and with the courageous UTR teachers and to speak out against the budget cuts that will hurt West County students and hurt the present and future of the city of Richmond. Meet with us. My understanding is that the district has not met with the city of Richmond for almost 2 years in our collaborative space. If we never meet, we cannot explore how we might work together. Being an elected official, I've learned very quickly that budgets are an expression of values, and you fund what you believe in. Budget cuts to teachers and critical programs expresses that you do not believe in our teachers or our students or the communities they come from. My invitation tonight is to all the elected officials whose residents will be affected by these cuts.
Our next public comment is Alan. Please unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. We're moving on to public comment online. Go ahead, please.
Alan, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Next public comment is Zach Porter.
Hello, board members. My name is Zach Porter. I'm a proud teacher and UTR member. I want to talk to you about Kennedy High School. Even before the cuts were announced, the situation at Kennedy was dire. Programs have been cut, mental health support staff have been pushed out, hardworking and beloved leaders have been ousted from above. Our thermostats are broken, our restrooms sometimes have no warm water, and of course the vacancies. Our students sit patiently month after month, year after year, as teacher vacancies go unfilled until one day the classes collapse with no explanation. Despite our students needing French or needing ELD, the district tells us there's no longer a vacancy. Vacancy, by the way, they didn't even bother to post on EdJoin. The lack of care and attention and experience of gaslighting that follows from being told again and again that there are no vacancies, when we know there are, makes these cuts all the more painful. I present to you 600 signatures that we collected this week. 600 signatures.
I'm sorry, put 10 more seconds on the clock for him. He didn't start. I'm sorry, just hold for a second. I'm trying to give you some more time.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. 600 signatures in just over a week. Our numbers in anger are growing every day. We are committed to the fight. There's no coming back from where you're going, and we deserve better. Richmond deserves better. You must stop the cuts.
Our next public comment is David Bellew. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, I just wanted to just note that there was a budget committee that met on numerous occasions last year. It included 2 trustees from the board, representatives from the budget office, and representatives from Teamsters and UTR. They did a lot of work. They did do a deep dive into the budget. There were a lot of questions asked and answered. Recordings of every one of these meetings are on the WCC USD YouTube page. I would encourage everyone to actually go and watch those. They were not very well attended by the public, even though they were open to the public. That's all I have to say.
Next public comment is Amelia Calderon.
Hi, y'all. I teach math at Richmond High and I teach international kids. And if you would please get off your phone, Mr. Hurst, I'd really appreciate it. My students know well how to use their phones and when not to use them. Anyways, I just wanted to say that not allowing us to have 7 periods at Richmond High, and same thing that Kennedy and El Cerrito are dealing with, it actually impacts our Black and brown students the most because our kids who come from other countries have to take ELD classes, so they won't be able to take choir. Valeria, who just spoke, she's not going to be able to take choir next year if you guys don't allow us to have an MOU. My other student, Alejandra, won't be able to perform in band because they won't be able to take any electives. They won't have enough A through Gs. So based on your anti-racism statement, please actions speak louder than words. Please don't do this. Let us have our MOUs. It's only 1.8 FTEs more for Richmond High. I know it's similar for the others. Just for the sake of anti-racism, allow us our MOUs. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Jeffrey Bean. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Jeffrey Bean here. I teach 5th grade at Shannon. I want to tell you about my first year in the district. My first year, I taught at Grant Elementary in Richmond, and I taught 3rd grade. And one of the other 3rd grade classes had no teacher. They had no teacher until they finally found someone several months into the year. Until then, they had a sub. The situation has not changed much in those 11 years. Every year or every couple of years is a situation where there's some drastic shortage of teachers and the district can't find people. 3 years ago, I had to have my class split up partway through the year due to consolidation. Then following year, that same class had a no teacher for a few weeks. And we all know, you know, I know, we all know that next fall, we'll be again trying to find teachers. So layoffs don't make sense. You know they don't make sense. We all know that. Please rescind these notices. Thank you.
Our next public comment is Natalie Walchuk.
Good evening, trustees and Dr. Moses. My name is Natalie Walchuk from Go Public Schools. I stand here shocked and saddened to learn that district leadership denied or delayed $10 million in materials and services desperately needed by our students and educators. These free dollars would have provided for long overdue math curriculum and related staff training and vital mental health services for our most vulnerable students. Sadly, these 2 examples are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to squandered and forfeited resources offered by our community partners, eager and willing to pour into WCC USD. The crisis will only be solved by engaging our entire village. Instead, once again, district leadership has pulled up its drawbridge, freezing out our invaluable union members, passionate families, and dedicated community partners. Everyone who showed up tonight is working tirelessly to give our students all they need. My question is, are you? Are you willing to put your ego aside and give our educators, staff, and students what they need to thrive? Anything less is a total failure in leadership.
Our next public comment is Dana Ramos. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Dana Rama. Oops, sorry. I am a parent of a third grader and also of a fifth grader who attends school within this district. And for the past 2 years, they were both virtual students. Oh, and for 2 years, they were both virtual students at Vista. I'm also a former WCCUSD student and one of the first graduating classes at Hercules High School. And we also had cuts back in 2003. And I hope today that we can make the same change that we made back then for my babies, the staff at Vista, and Principal McCormick and our entire Vista Virtual family. In recent weeks, my daughter's teachers alerted us that our beloved Vista Virtual School is at risk of being cut from the district. This news shook my daughter and our entire family, and every day my 8-year-old was worried sick and asking me if her school is going to be taken away from her. My daughter has been a student at Vista since she began school back in the fall of 2021. She has developed relationships and bonds with her teachers, classmates, and even with the screen in between. The staff and principal have fostered relationships as well. And my daughter is reading at a 5th grade level and receives,
Our next public comment is Elizabeth Myers.
Are you listening? I'm Elizabeth Myers. I'm a teacher at Kennedy High School and part of the Internationals Academy, a program that supports 75 plus newcomers. Unfortunately, we have been told that due to budget cuts, you are cutting essential components of our program. This is wrong. In addition, in order to have effective pathways and academies, we are dependent on adequate core provisions. Cutting English, math, science, and social studies disables equitable access to pathways and academies. What specific actions will the board take to ensure that funding and resources for core subjects like English, math, science, and social studies are protected to maintain equitable access, effective pathways and academic opportunities for all students? I ask, are you listening? Thank you.
Our next public comment is Eric Jepson.
All right. Good evening, board. I'm here as a representative of El Cerrito High's faculty to announce we have passed our MOU with a yes vote over 94%, continuing a 30-year tradition. President Reckler and I can both speak to the value this MOU has provided our own children. Through conversations with members of the board and the superintendent, we believe our MOU will be signed soon, and we encourage the board to encourage the superintendent to sign the MOU as soon as possible to alleviate our community's concerns. We also ask the district to work with our sibling high schools, trusting in the expertise of their educators, allowing them to determine how they can best serve their own students, given their own circumstances. One of the geniuses of WCCUSD has been allowing high schools to adapt site by site to student need. Speaking of great traditions, next year the district's radio station will celebrate 50 years on the air. Although there's an irony here, as KECG is currently off the air as the teacher who keeps the machinery function has not had her time cards paid since January. It's like 3 hours a week. It's tragic, easily solved. It's easier to keep a great institution alive than attempt resurrection. Please save it. Thank you for your time.
Our next public comment is Fabiola Gallegos. Fabiola Gallegos. Mitzi Perez Cara.
Hold that for me. Thank you. My name is Mitzi Perez Caro, and I am an 8-year CTE teacher at Kennedy High, and a second generation WCC alum. I have been attending these school board meetings regularly since before any of you considered being on this dais 10 years ago. I know that what happens to people when they don't listen to their constituents. You vote to cut teachers and scare them off by putting their jobs at risk, yet you say that you are hiring. You say that students reserve the right to express their First Amendment rights, yet you call the police and try to scare them off. Your students are imploring you to save teacher positions. Instead, you say that you need to have input on DL caps. You say you encourage students to advocate for themselves, yet you bolt the doors and block students from speaking to you. You need to be transparent. You need to appreciate the courage it took for these students to advocate for their.
Our next public comment is Sylvia Alvarez.
Please respect the time of the next speaker. Please move to online.
Sylvia Alvarez.
Good evening. I am a district SLP and a parent. WCCUSD community, our children's right to public education is currently under direct attack by the Trump administration. This is our moment to be strong for them, to stand up and demand fully staffed schools at WCCUSD. But the district passed a budget without an active budget committee. 5 SLP positions were cut by the board with no prior review of data on current SLP caseloads or the students who are already behind on or not receiving their legally mandated speech services. This does not reflect good decision-making or adequately standing up for our students' rights. We need leadership that understands what's at stake here. Our right to education in this nation is under attack. WCCUSD community, please stand up and fight back. Thank you.
Next public comment is Alan. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, so I am a future CHP officer, and I am speaking within the health system because I know y'all are going to be cutting the health system very soon, and I know you guys are willing to do, but this will not happen. I am a future CHP officer. I have a little brother at home, and how about the newest people in Kennedy or Richmond High? Like, how is that even possible? As a CHP explorer, this will not tolerate anybody, including our future officers, future medical, and our students as well. Why are you guys even trying to do this? This is the one ridiculous thing y'all could ever do when it comes to health and everything. Shout out to Miss A. Andrea Hernandez and to everybody here at Kennedy. Thank you.
Next public comment is Sylvia Alvarez. Jacqueline Gallardo Duarte.
My name is Jacqueline Gallardo, and huge shout out to Alan Contreras. I know him for like 3 years now, and he is a good student. He's a CHP member, and I love him a lot because he's my boyfriend. But that's not the reason why I came up here and spoke about that. The reason why I came up here and spoke was for every human has a right to speak, no matter what consequences it has. I would say that voice matters, and no matter the ethnicity, the race and color will not be discriminated, and power will always be powered by this future of everyone. Thank you.
Next public comment is Maria Ponce. Maria Ponce.
Good evening. My name is Maria, and I'm a parent and alumna at Kennedy High School. The budget cuts that the district has chosen to approve are damaging to our students, teachers, staff, and community. Why must the budget be cut if there is plenty of money in reserves? Are our kids and teachers not good enough to dip into that money? Because that is what it feels like. Time and time again, Kennedy High School gets the short end of the stick. CTE Academy, Pathways, IT are all vital programs that allow students to explore other career opportunities and who may not be interested in attending a four-year institution. It is as the school board wants to hinder the success of Kennedy High School students. Also, I'm sure that you're aware that Kennedy High School is getting remodeled, because of course we don't seem to be good enough for a full rebuild. Again, short end of the stick. But anyway, here we are. One of the focuses of that rebuild is CTE. How are we to ensure that the success of these programs without our instructors?
Our next public comment is Erin Callentine.
That rebuild in Kennedy. That was 18 years ago when I started working there. I remember the students walking out 2 or 3 times when this board, when our superintendent then said, "I'm sorry, there's no money for you. There's no money for this program." I remember how people talk about Kennedy because I spent my first nearly decade teaching there. Now I teach at Vista. I am here to be your conscience if you can't hear it. If you are sitting on that dais, if you are sitting at the side tables, I am begging you. If your budget experts don't have any better ideas than to cut from students and families, maybe it's time to get better budget experts. Maybe it's time to get a little bit creative. Maybe it's time to ask, what are we spending our money on? If it is not literally these kids you saw today, it is unethical what we are doing. Everybody talks about the district budget. This is our money. Spend.
Our next public comment is Chris Eldridge.
Hello, I am here tonight as a concerned community member. I looked up the interim superintendent's salary. It is more than $315,000. The district's salary schedule has 6 listings for associate superintendents that will make up to $254,000 annually. If those positions are filled, that is $2 million a year that the district will spend on just 7 employees. For the same amount of money, we could hire back 60 of our instructional assistants that our special education classes are missing. Hire 30 full-time teachers to teach the core classes students need, and to coach and volunteer and help grow programs that students want. Or retain 20 veteran teachers who know our communities, have been fighting for our students for decades. Or hire 23 new full-time speech and language pathologists and early childhood education experts. Does the administration understand that their job is to serve the students? It is time for leadership to get creative and stop telling the community that cuts must be made on classroom staffing.
Our next public comment is Robert Ratner. Oak Hallett.
Hi, my name is O'Callett. I'm hoping that you, being on the board, on the school board, want a similar big picture as we do. healthy, thriving school community that provides a quality education to our students. The community we are all striving for can't be built in a climate of mass layoffs. Instability breeds fear, not community. Firing today, hiring tomorrow. I've heard rumors about the motivation for the cuts from the district trying to look poor to get more funding, to trying to create the appearance of being on budget when it isn't. Regardless of the reason, making the numbers work by messing with people's lives is not the answer. Cutting and then hiring back those positions does not provide stability. It is transactional. It uses people. It says the ends are justified by the means. It seeks to build community by damaging the community. And community doesn't work that way. Help us imagine stable futures within the district for ourselves and our students. Stop the cuts. Find a better way by respecting the lives and livelihoods of those in the community you represent.
And our last public comment is Promise Rose.
Hello, I've been here for the past, Promise Rose, Betty Reed Soskin Middle School. I've been here for the past 2 meetings asking you to listen to your constituents, your students, to find out, and we're still waiting. I think this time you need to hear from a teacher of why they're here at this district. When I came out of my program, I had many people offering me. However, I chose this district because this district looked like the school I grew up in. And it was the teachers at those schools that really made it bearable for a child who had been going through many different schools and many different districts in the system with high trauma and high learning disabilities. They gave me places to be safe, to be comfortable, and start to open up to my own intelligence and accept who I am. One thing that I regret was I lived too close to my high school because I didn't get into their pathway because I lived so close.
Okay, that concludes public comment. Thank you to everyone who gave comment tonight. We are moving on.
President Reckler, could we take a 5-minute recess, please?
Sure. Is everybody okay with a recess? Yes, yes. 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 Okay, we'll be back at 8:58. 8:58. Back from recess, and we are going to start with standing reports. So tonight we have the Council of Elders, ASAT, the CBOC, United Teachers of Richmond, and CAC, which is Special Ed Group, the Community Advisory Group for Special Education, excuse me about that. And we'll go ahead and start with, who do you, Council of Elders first? Are they online?
Ms. Scotty, please unmute yourself. Ms. Smith, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, I'm sorry. Another member was supposed to speak with the, speak tonight. And since she is sick and I did not have a chance to communicate with her in terms of what was going to, what we were going to discuss, we can move to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next report from ASAP.
Ms. Harrison, can you please unmute yourself? Ms. Harrison, can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Can you go to the next one and can you come back to me, please? 'Cause I'm trying to get my report up.
Okay, Mr. Francisco Ortiz.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Tonight, I stand before you not just as the president of the United Teachers of Richmond, but as a homegrown advocate for our students who are right now showing you exactly what it means to be civically engaged. You've claimed to value student voice. We tell our community that you want to listen to young people. Well, tonight, you don't need a survey or a report to understand what our students are saying. They are speaking to you loud and clear. They're speaking with their feet, walking out of schools across the district, not because they want to, but because they feel they have to. Students are appealing to your humanity. Are you listening? At the root of these walkouts is district's leadership's failure to lead with a moral compass. The district has repeatedly chosen chaos over stability, fear over collaboration, and austerity over solutions. The dysfunction we are witnessing is not just frustrating, it's dangerous. These cuts are unnecessary. They do not serve our students. They deepen the harm that has already been inflicted by years of poor decisions, failed priorities, and broken promises. At a time when students need more mental health support, district leadership has effectively turned down $5 million in a counseling grant, a lifeline for the Kennedy and Richmond school communities, a program that would have brought counselors into Stige for the first time ever. At a time when our students can use more math support, district leadership denied a $5 million math curriculum grant, rejecting nearly $4 million in curriculum materials and $1 million in professional development that could have set students on a path for success and prevent cuts. There's also on the agenda tonight an MOU with Pepperdine University, so it's really easy how some MOUs can move through with universities, but others cannot. At a time when we already face crippling vacancies, you have chosen to increase instability by cutting staff, driving even more educators out of this district. When schools aren't fully staffed, students suffer. This is evident in tonight's presentation, where we see the highest number of vacancies in Richmond and San Pablo schools correlate with higher rates of chronic absenteeism. And let's be clear, not all students will suffer equally. These cuts disproportionately impact Black and Brown students, immigrant families, and English learner students, the very communities that have been historically underserved by our district, the very communities that rely on school-based services the most, the very students who, without intervention, will face the harshest consequence of an unstable school system. Eliminating critical positions, especially those that serve our most vulnerable students, is not a budget solution. It is an equity failure. The students walking out today understand this, even if this board refuses to acknowledge it. But how did this district respond? Not with reflection, not with accountability, instead with a thinly veiled attempt to suppress student activism. The district's official statement claimed to, quote, respect student rights, while simultaneously warning of law enforcement intervention and refusing to excuse absences. This is fear-mongering, plain and simple, a tactic historically used to delegitimize protest movements led by Black and Brown youth. Instead of ensuring students had a safe way to exercise their First Amendment rights, you chose to paint their activism as dangerous. And while we're on the topic of dysfunction, let's talk about the financial shell game that you're also playing to destabilize our communities. The second interim financial report was not shared with this board before the March 15th deadline. This is not an accident. This is the pattern of our district requesting an extension for the third time from the conspiratorial county superintendent. By the way, the county letter that you used to justify the cuts in your last board meeting is riddled with inaccurate information, and the county sent you an updated, corrected letter on March 3rd, and you have not published that publicly. The district's strategy of withholding key financial documents while making drastic cuts is not fiscal responsibility. It's an intentional move to obscure the truth. And it's incredibly distressing given that we have a highly qualified chief business officer, as touted by Mike Fine, the overseer of our district and CEO of FICMAT. The district has an obligation to be transparent. The community deserves to see the full financial picture, not just the version that justifies more cuts. This pattern of obfuscation of mismanagement and refusal to acknowledge alternative solutions is precisely what drives educators away and makes it impossible for families to trust this board's leadership. So I ask you again, you had the power to prevent these cuts. You have the power to reverse them. The question is, do you have the will? The community is watching. The students are watching. Will you continue down this path of dysfunction, or will you step up to lead? The moral imperative is clear. Reverse the cuts, restore trust, and respect the students who are fighting for the schools they deserve. Thank you, Kennedy students. Thank you, Richmond. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Thank you. We'll go next to the CBOC, Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, Mr. Don Gosney.
Good evening. The West Contra Costa Unified School District has a $2.4 billion bond program. Using the power of their vote, the good people of West County passed several bond measures over the past quarter century to raise the funds necessary to repair or replace all 53 schools in West County. As you might imagine, with the cost of this enormous project increasing dramatically with demands from our neighbors and unexpected budgetary increases, the approved funding isn't nearly enough, and close to 19 schools may not get the funding those communities deserve. In November of 2000, the good people of California passed Proposition 39, which lowered the threshold for passage from 2/3 down to 55%. One caveat in Prop 39 is that for any bond measure utilizing the 55% option, there must be an oversight body to ensure that the funds are spent following the Prop 39 restrictions and are not misspent. I've been with the bond program since 1998, even before it was an official program. I've served the CBOC for 11 years, as long as legally allowed. This is my 4th year as the chair of the CBOC. The primary function of the CBOC is to review the monthly financial reports as well as periodic reports on the bond program projects. The district has 5 major projects right now: a new multi-purpose room at Shannon Elementary, a total rebuild of Lake Elementary, a total rebuild of Steege Elementary, and repairs at Kennedy and Richmond Highs, which include massive replacements of large parts of the campuses. As much as possible, the CBOC visits the sites so they can see firsthand where the bond funds are going. Due to the fact that Steege has been closed, staff has deemed it off limits to us. We are trying to schedule a visit at another site this coming Friday. Turns out that's not going to happen. With Steege, JFK, and Richmond High, it's important to see things from start to finish so we can see why the district is spending $621 million of our tax dollars. How can we explain these expenditures to the public if we're relying only on a few photos every now and again? The financial reports have been a problem, though. It's not that they're not included in these reports. It's not what's included in these reports. It's the fact that for a lot of reasons, the district has been unable to provide the CBOC with the financial reports that we need and in a timely manner. At next Wednesday's joint meeting between the Board of Education and the CBOC, we will review this problem with the hope that we will all can determine what it will take to assist staff so they can provide the financial reports needed to help build the public's trust and faith in the district and the bond program. As great a job as Ms. Payne and Ms. Hooper are doing, there simply aren't enough hours in the day. At that same meeting, draft audits for the bond program will be presented and discussed. These include a financial audit, but more importantly, a performance audit. This latter audit is one that has been a bone of contention for about 6 years when the district's chief business officer convinced the board that they didn't need the type of performance audit the CBOC had negotiated several years prior. He convinced the board that they only needed an audit that met the bare bones requirements of the government auditing standards. One of the key components of the earlier performance audits included interviews with key stakeholders of the CBOC so they might illuminate the performance auditors with information about the bond program that they might not otherwise get from staff, the very people being audited. The newly accepted scope prevented the auditors from even speaking directly to the CBOC. As a result, the oversight of the bond program has, at least in my opinion, suffered a lot. It was decided that discussing an expansion of the performance audit scope at next week's joint meeting was not as important as others suggested agenda items. I obviously disagreed, but a solution to this pressing problem was not agreed upon. It was suggested that the private discussions be made be held and that at a later date, these issues might be made public. There is a scheduled joint meeting in September, so we'll see if the issue can be discussed at that time. Between now and that later date, I invite members of the board and the public to reach out to me if you want to learn more about the deficiencies of the current scope of the performance audits and what the CBOC used to receive. I can be reached at 510-685-2403 or dongosney@comcast.net. We will also be discussing the status of the 112 recommendations from the multi-million-dollar forensic accounting investigation that was conducted almost 10 years ago. There were initial discrepancies between what the district said were completed and what could be proven to be completed. Since then, we've had numerous follow-up audits to validate whether this money was properly spent, but wait for it, we don't really know the status of those follow-up audits, so we'll talk that one over too. The CBOC is working diligently to train their members on how to use the tools at our disposal so they can be more proactive in the oversight of the bond program. This is time-consuming and laborious, but extremely necessary. We're still looking for a few more volunteers to serve on the CBOC, so I invite you to reach out to me to learn more about what you can do to be involved. This is way too important to sit back and leave it in the hands of others. Before you get too excited about helping out, though, the CBOC has no say in where the money goes. That's in the hands of the elected board members. Also, they don't actually let us play with the money.
Thank you. We'll move now to CAC, Community Advisory Committee for Special Education.
Amparo Salgado.
Not online either. Okay.
Ms. Harrison, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Good evening, board. I'm Zalon Harrison. I'm the chair of the African American Site Advisory Team. And tonight I just want to share with you all some of our concerns and, things we would like to make sure you address. First, we want to make sure that our students in time enough have resources for the summer. So we haven't heard any information on where Freedom School is going to be held. And Freedom School for our children is a good way for our children to experience Black educators and to also get Black educators interested in teaching in our district. So that's something that I feel you all should invest in and also utilize as a pathway to get more educators in our district. And summer programs need to be, available now so parents can start, planning, and that the district doesn't say, oh, well, you have to let us know 6 weeks ahead of time. And that, we can get the resources we need for our children. Also, I'm really concerned about how the budget is being done for parent trainings and parent. I don't know what's going on, and we haven't had a lot of transparency about how things are processing and how they're going to be processed so that we can advise and we can let them know what things that we would like to do as far as parent training. So I encourage the board to support the district in making sure that parents have an opportunity to advise on correct information and not throwing things at the last minute. And I also would like to see the resolution that was written for African American and Black children. I would like to see the district really look at that and see how we can pull things out of there to ensure that our children reading and math scores go up, because since we've had our office, the office hasn't had the current support that it needs to ensure that. So I would like to see, as long as I know we only have one staff in the office, but if that one staff can have more focus on what they're doing so we can see data about our children district-wide, so we can see where their test scores are, and we want to see what services and programs that have good data servicing our kids that are doing well. We would like to see those things from the office. And then also, there was a resolution that was presented at our equity committee. And I say again, if you're going to keep law enforcement off the campus for one group of children, you need to keep law enforcement off the campus for all children. So I am encouraging the board again to ensure that that resolution includes all children, not just one group. because all children get traumatized by different type of interactions with law enforcement, and every child deserves to go to school in a safe climate. So I feel that that should be given to everyone. Also, the college and career is our centers are still, our college and career centers and counselors are still not getting our children any information and supporting the children who want to go to HBCUs. And their tour was canceled again for the second year. And I need the board to look into that and see why we're back here every year with our kids not having the opportunity to explore other options outside of what's offered here in our district, to have them come back whole and well-rounded. So I'm encouraging that we look at our college and careers and make sure they're servicing all children. And I would like also support around making sure that our school sites are having clear information about the principals are getting the support they need to encourage and support our APACs to be developed and started. A lot of our APACs still have not started, and a lot of principals are still wondering how are they supposed to start APACs like we're at the beginning of the school year. That's my grandbaby, sorry. But that's what I'm encouraging the district to do, to support APACs at school sites and support principals, because still here we are in March and there are some school sites who don't have APACs and still struggling to set up their SSCs, and that's the law to set up those. So I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes standing reports, I believe, right? Council Vellers is going to come back next week at another time, correct? Yes, okay. All right, moving on to B9, agenda review and adoption. Does anybody have anything on the agenda for review? I would like to make a suggestion. I'm just looking at the time at where we are now, 9:16. I have a recommendation that we either extend to 10:30 and see how far we can get, or take off the quarterly update on Kennedy and Richmond and move that to the next meeting. Might save some time. But I don't think we can finish all of this by 10 o'clock. Yes, please.
Thank you, President. May I suggest, because I think that there are maybe people here for Stige and Kennedy items. Could we postpone F3? It's very important, but we're probably gonna end up rushing through it anyway. So do we really want that to,
No.
like, it's very, right? So maybe that would be my suggestion.
Dr. Moses, do you have a viewpoint on that, moving attendance to the next meeting?
I think that would be okay. Ms. Sigler, any issues with postponing that presentation for attendance? Thank you.
Okay, so are we agreed to take F3 off attendance and move it to the next meeting? Is everybody in agreement on that? Okay, and we'll see how far we get. Okay. Okay, we're up to B10, approval of the minutes, January 11, 22, Feb 5, and Feb 12 of 2025. Does anybody have any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll adopt the minutes as presented. B11, superintendent search update. I do have a small update, which is since the online survey was extended to March 10th, approval of the position description is moving to the March 26th meeting. It was supposed to be at this meeting, but it is moving to the next meeting, and an updated search timeline is attached for informational purposes. Okay, moving on to C, business items consent. Does anybody want to pull anything from the consent calendar? Seeing none, consent is approved. Moving to D, superintendent communication. Dr. Moses, this is your item.
Thank you. As we are pulling up the report. Be ready momentarily. I just want to start off as we're pulling that report up by saying that it's really been Last week in particular was really an exciting week where we were able to celebrate lots of things that are happening in the district, many of which we're going to share with you through this report tonight. All right, next slide. We'd like to start off with recognizing a staff member in memoriam. We'd like to take time to recognize the contributions of our staff member who has passed away, Alfredo Noriega Lopez. We regret to inform you that Alfredo Noriega Lopez, a building maintenance worker at Richmond High School, recently passed away. He started working for the district as a custodian in 2021 and became a warehouse driver for the Food Services Nutrition Center. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Noriega Lopez family and friends and the Richmond High community. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We'd also like to recognize that March is a month of many celebrations. March is Women's History Month, and we also celebrate International Women's Day during this month. We want to take this time to appreciate all of the women, not only who work within our district, but who support our community and are a part of our families. Thank you for your contributions to our city, to our district, and to our students. Happy Women's History Month. Next slide. It is also Nutrition Month, and I'd like to take this time to give a shout out to Barbara Jellison and the entire food services team for taking such great care of our district. And I'd also like to recognize their efforts to keep our students well nourished every day, and appreciation to that team. Happy Nutrition Month. Next slide. We are celebrating lots of art recognitions. It's Music in Our Schools Month, Arts Education Month, and Youth Art Month. We like to encourage our schools to really dig into new projects this month and share them with us so that we can highlight them on our board presentation. We celebrate the arts this month. Next slide. The Richmond High robotics team is hitting the big screen. We'd like to send out a congratulations. Skywalker Sound recorded authentic audio from the Richmond High robotics team 841 during their competitions. And those recordings were used in a newly released film, Rule Breakers. And not only will our students be credited in the film, but they were invited to attend an exclusive screening of this film on March 11th. Congratulations, Oilers. We also want to announce that coming up, our robotics team 841 will be competing in the San Francisco Regional, Contra Costa Regional, and East Bay Regional competitions. Good luck, team. They're also mentoring and supporting the launch of a new robotics team at Pinole Valley High. We're excited to start these efforts together, and the addition of a second robotics team in our district is extremely exciting. So shout out to the Richmond High team and their sponsors for carrying this over to another campus and continuing to be a model of excellence for this program. Congratulations to our talented students and their hard work. Next slide. It's award season, and we'd like to recognize our Changemaker Award recipient, Rob Kirker. And Mr. Kirker is representing Lincoln Elementary School. Mr. Kirker embodies so many qualities of the Julie Wright Changemaker Award. He manifests an unwavering focus on making decisions guided by student learning and equity, and he has a high bar for excellence and integrity. We'd like to congratulate Mr. Kirker and appreciate him for his 15 years of experience teaching at Lincoln Elementary School. We look forward to celebrating him at tomorrow night's event. Next slide. Ed Fun winners. We had a wonderful time surprising our excellent teacher leaders last week. We were celebrating their accomplishments in being recognized as Teaching Excellence Award recipients. We'd like to congratulate Caitlin Marchese from Vista Virtual K-12. We'd also like to recognize from Montalvin Manor, Ms. Posadas, from Richmond High School, Mr. Hudson, from Olinda Elementary School, Ms. Barrios, and from Washington Elementary School, Ms. De Rodolfo. Congratulations to all of our recipients. And we also want to highlight that Ms. Posadas and Ms. Marchese will represent our district at the Contra Costa County level of the Teaching Excellence Awards. Great job. Next slide. We also had an exciting celebration for our You Make a Difference Awards, sponsored by our Community Advisory Committee, which is our Special Education CAC committee. Those 12 members and students, 12 members of our staff and students were honored for their influence and support for West Contra Costa's students with special needs. Congratulations to this year's honorees: Heather Best, Kathy Roll, Vanette Williams Hill, Maria Elisa Castro, Sherry Lee, Tamika Jones, Jose Escalara, Barbara Bradford, Mary Campbell, Keho Kingsland, Francine Famarkin, and Kaylani Deal. Congratulations to all of you. Next slide. Today, President Reckler and I had the distinct pleasure of participating in a press conference with State Superintendent Tony Thurmond to announce the Senate Bill 502. President Reckler joined the state superintendent in support of this bill, which is a crucial step towards addressing the housing affordability crisis for our educators and school employees across California. This bill would provide much needed state funding to help our districts and districts like ours cover pre-development costs like architectural planning and permits to build affordable housing for our dedicated staff. We'd like to thank the state for the opportunity to be a part of this press conference. Next slide. The DLCAP Town Hall meetings are coming up on March 15th and March 25th, and we want to encourage all community members and staff to join us and share your voice at these town hall meetings. The first meeting is March 15th at Richmond High School, which is a Saturday. That meeting will be from 9:15 to 12:30. And there'll be a second opportunity on March 26th. It'll be an evening meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Actually on Zoom. So we encourage you to take one of those two opportunities to share your ideas and learn more about our DLCAP committee and the great work that they're doing, and also revising our LCAP as needed to meet the needs of our community. Next slide. Kennedy is getting windows, everyone. We are excited to continue down the path of remodeling Kennedy High School. We are going to be demolishing the 100 wing and 200 wing, and we'd like to invite Kennedy High alum and the community to join us in celebrating its history and memories before the summer demolition. We did hear loud and clear, we wish there were more time to plan this. We are on a construction schedule, and in order to stay on that schedule, in order to make sure that the work happens during the summer, we did need to plan this event rather quickly. We hope to see many of our community members and Kennedy alum on March 15th at 2 o'clock for this celebration. I'm extremely excited for this event. Next slide. We have open house happening for our middle schools. Open houses will take place on March 13th, and for our high schools, open houses March 20th. We encourage all parents to join us for these events to learn more about what's happening in our secondary schools. Next slide. We need your input. There is a survey for input regarding the rollout of our new cell phone policy for our students in order to support the implementation of that at our school sites to have a more focused environment on learning. Please participate in the survey and have your voice be heard for this exciting policy rollout. Next slide. We want to encourage our seniors to apply for the Ed Fund Scholarship. These scholarships are now open Please speak with your college and career counselors and see the information on this slide and apply for those opportunities to support with your college aspirations. Next slide. As well, the Richmond Promise Scholarship is open as well. We encourage our students to apply for that opportunity. This deadline is coming up. The deadline is Friday, March 14th. So we encourage all of our seniors who are eligible for this opportunity to complete this process by that deadline. Next slide. Our graduations are coming. This slide shows all of the dates of the graduations that will happen for West Contra Costa Unified. I want to highlight that we kick off on Saturday, May 17th with a reclassification ceremony, and we will conclude June 14th with our final graduation prior to summer, which is Greenwood, and also an exciting graduation for extended learning students in July of 2025. Next slide. And finally, each meeting we try and highlight our parent advisory committees and really encourage our community members to look into these committees and attend their meetings. The committees are listed here as well as on the next slide. More committees, and the final slide represents our district committees, which is our CBOC and our 7-Eleven committee, which are instrumental to our bonds and construction program. Thank you for your attention to this presentation. And with that, I will conclude the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the superintendent? Okay, seeing none, I do have a request of the board, and that is that I received a little note from Angela Silver Lima, who is with CAC Leadership. Is everybody okay if we try and contact her now online and see if she can give her a report? Everybody's okay with that? So see if you can get her. Angela Silver Lima. Okay, thank you. We'll move on. She may have sent it to me a long time ago and I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so now we are moving to action items. E1 is student discipline.
President Reckler, I can move them if you like.
Yeah, let me just see. Is there anything that you have to say about them at all? Okay, and then they need to be moved one at a time, right? Okay, yeah.
I move that we approve the stipulated agreement on case number 242501.
Great. Is there a second on that item?
I'll second.
Okay, Clerk Kenyana is the second. Are there any questions or comments? Yeah, we can. Okay, so we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
student trustee Barron,
Yes.
Hernandez is absent, Clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Foltz,
Smith votes yes.
and I'm a yes. The item passes. Next one, case 242502.
President Reckler, I move that we approve the stipulated agreement on case number 242502.
Great. Is there a second on that item?
I'll second.
Clerk Kenyana is the second. No comments. We'll go to a vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
student trustee Barron,
Yes.
Hernandez is absent, Clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Foltz.
Smith votes yes.
Smith Foltz is a yes in case you didn't hear it, and I'm a yes. Moving on to case number 3, which is case number 242503.
President Reckler, I move that we approve the stipulated agreement on case number 242503.
Great. Is there a second on that item?
I'll second the item.
Clerk Kenyana is the second, and we'll go to a vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
trustee Barron,
Yes.
Hernandez is absent, Clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Foltz,
Smith votes yes.
and I'm a yes. Item passes unanimously. Oh, she's on now? Okay, so we'll finish this, and then if everybody's okay, we'll go to her. Okay. Now we're up to case number 4, which is 242504.
President Reckler, I move that we approve the stipulated agreement on case number 2425 04.
Is there a second on that item?
I'll second the item.
Okay, Clerk Inyana is the second. We'll go to a vote. Student trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Inyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez White,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Item passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, now we'll just switch to the CAC report, if that's okay.
Miss Angela Silva Lima, can you please unmute yourself?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, board. Thank you for letting me come back on and speak. Amparo was not able to be here tonight, so I will be giving the standing report for the Community Advisory Council, also known as CAC. Last Friday, March 7th, the CAC hosted the You Make a Difference Awards. The You Make a Difference Awards goes to individuals who have gone above and beyond to make an impact in the lives of special education students. We wanted to thank the board, Dr. Moses and the cabinet for your support in this event. Next year, we are hoping to start the planning process earlier and also look into exploring donations to make a greater event for greater people. This year, we had, we gave the You Make a Difference Awards to Administrator Heather Best of Fairmont, teachers Kathy Roll from Harding, Marilisa Castro from El Cerrito High School, Vanette Williams Hill from Transition, Sherry Lee from Hercules Middle School, Jose Escalera from Terra Hills Elementary, Tamika Jones Collins Elementary, Barbara Bradford at Transition, speech therapist Francine Danny Famorkin at Olinda, school psychologist Keho Kingsland at Harding, Mary Campbell at Cameron School, and licensed vocational nurse Kaylani Deal. There's also 2 other awards given. One is the Jane Rockwell Award, and the Jake Rockwell Award goes to students who have made who have been a positive role model and helped promote inclusion within the general education community with special education students. This year, the award winners were from Collins Elementary. They were Emma, Javea, Amara, and Skylin. And then there is also the Brian Retford Service Award, and that award is given to a bus driver who demonstrates professionalism and compassion and sets an example for others in the treatment of special education students. This year, the award went to Yeseli Gutierrez, who is a bus driver at the Transition Program. Again, the CAC would like to thank the board for their support of this event, as well as district staff who showed up. And we would also like to say another congratulations to all the award recipients. The CAC will next meet on April 3rd at 5:30. We meet on Zoom. We really encourage the community to come out and get involved and attend the meetings. We would also like special education staff to come out. It takes a village. And thank you again for letting me come back on and address the board. I am complete.
Thank you so much for your report. I'm glad we could connect. Okay, we're moving on now to E2, acceptance of the work and approval of the notice of completion for Hercules Middle School, High School Science Building. Project number 1 with a lot of zeros, 4154.
Ms. Payne, this is your item.
Good evening, trustees, superintendent, and community. Tonight, we're asking the board to approve the notice of completion for the Hercules Middle and High School Science Building. And I welcome Ms. Mejia Hooper, our Director of Facilities Planning and Construction, to provide you with a brief presentation and celebration of the project. But before she gets started, I want to kick it off with a quote from a senior from Hercules, Miss Alina, who shared with us what this project meant to her. And she described it as a launch pad for dreams, a sanctuary for curiosity and creativity. And with that, I turn it over to Miss Mejia Hooper.
Good evening, board and community. Thank you for having us tonight. We are proud to show the science building that was completed at Hercules High School. This project was identified in the 2016 Facilities Master Plan and created 4 science labs for each the middle school and high school on the campus, as well as support spaces. Next slide, please. So here's an aerial shot showing the amphitheater space that is just outside the building. There were 8 portables, classrooms removed as part of this project, as well as a portable restroom. The restrooms were replaced in the building itself, and there was staff and student restrooms available for both the middle school and high school. And that's the space that you see in front of the building that will also allow for a future garden if desired by the science program. There's also outdoor cover spaces on both the middle school and high school sides. Next slide. The interior of the spaces provide large lab spaces equipped with all of the safety measures of eye washes and showers, as well as access to mini sinks and a flexible design for the science lab area to allow for experiments to happen in the middle of the room. There are many science-inspired design features within the building itself, one of which is the floor pattern, which was inspired by electrons around a middle nucleus that is shown by the blue accent color. Next slide. On the exterior, we also had a lot of fun science-inspired pieces, one of which is the reveals that run vertically across the spine wall. So if you imagine the sun as being the end of the spine wall, you can go across, and all of the major vertical lines that you see across there represent the distance from the sun for each planet. So the third one over, of course, is Earth, and there will be a label on there that says Earth so that those science-inspired minds can find that Easter egg. We also have boulders in the sundial quad that represent the 3 different types of rocks, the sedimentary, metamorphic, and igneous. Next slide, please. We had a wonderful ribbon cutting ceremony. I would like to thank the comms department as well as everyone else that participated, and especially the members of the Hercules band and cheerleaders who made it a very festive event. We really enjoyed the ability to celebrate the opening of this facility. And last slide, I would be remiss if I didn't thank all of the facilities department for their support to complete the project, as well as our architect, DSK, and our builder, who was Soltech, and our project management team, which was Swinnerton. This was a great project. We're really happy to bring it forward.
Thank you. The last thing that I'll share is there on the bottom of the last slide, the comms team put together an incredible video. So if you had just a couple of maybe less than 2 minutes and you wanted to see the fun that was had, you can click on the link. It was posted to the district socials, and you can get a snapshot of the ribbon cutting event itself. And with that, we ask the board to approve the notice of completion for the Hercules Middle and High School Science Building.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation. Is there any public comment on this item?
We have no public comment.
Great. Are there any questions on this item? Any comments? Well, I just want to say it was a lovely event. The building is beautiful, and I'm very helpful for many, many years of wonderful experimentation and evidence-based reasoning and thought and discovery. So thank you. It was really a lovely day, and very unusual that a trustee that starts a project actually ends a project. So this is like a miracle that we got to approve it and then go see it. So thank you very much for that. And with that, we will go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.
President Richter,
Oh,
sorry, we need a
We
motion.
need a motion.
I'll move.
Thank you.
No,
Got
no
so
worries.
excited there.
Got excited. I move that we accept the work and approve the notice of completion for Hercules Middle School and High School Science Building.
Thank you. Is there a second on this item? I'll go ahead and second it. So it's moved by Gonzalez Hoy, second by Reckler. And we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
trustee Barone,
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Clerk Kenyatta,
Yes.
trustee Smith, trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimously. We are now up to F1 quarterly update on Stage Elementary School Rebuild Project. Just a short preface, on December 18th in the resolution, 4 updates to the community were promised per year, and this is our first update. So go ahead, Ms. Payne, I believe it's you.
President Rickler, would you like to move to extend just these 2 items?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll move that we extend until 11 with the caveat that we will not get there, but just so we have enough time just for these 2 items.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Comments? Seeing none. Vote as Mr. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Kenyatta,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, trustees, superintendent, and community. We are joined here tonight by our design builder, Alton Construction, on the line, along with our architect of record, Perkins Eastman. We also have here in person with us tonight our project management team. And I am going to be turning it over to our Director of Facilities Planning and Construction, Ms. Mejia Hooper, so that we can share with you and really introduce the Stage Elementary School Rebuild Project and share with you where we are at this time. And I'll turn it over to her.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me again. So the Stage Elementary School Campus Rebuild Project is underway. We are moving. And so, we are, next slide, please. So tonight we're going to have a quick introduction and then the architects are going to be brought on if so they could be promoted. That would be wonderful. The guiding principles will be reviewed as well as the building program and some site options with the results of the community meeting reporting out. Next slide. So one of the key pieces of a successful project is gathering input. We get input from a lot of different places, including the site itself. So the site itself gives us certain restraints and opportunities, and we have our district-wide educational specifications and product and material standards that really set the stage for any rebuild project. Beyond that, we of course have the input from our school site staff and community and families. And then we also have our district departments, and throughout any process, it is imperative that we get input from all of those stakeholders to be able to create the most successful project. Most of the time, this is not within anybody's day job. So we definitely appreciate and give a shout out to our IT, food service, maintenance and operations, as well as the school site that we perpetually bug to be able to spend time with us. And so we can learn how to best support what they are doing within the building by creating a building around them. Next slide, please. And then that really leads us to how that input is incorporated, because we're not just building a school, we are building a school for STEAG. And so what does that mean and how does that work? And so really we're looking at that community culture, the site accesses and areas of concern for this particular community. And those are translated into the physical forms that create the feel of a space. And that really comes from the scale of the buildings, entry elements, colors and materials, how the windows are placed, and the architectural style of the school. We also look at our circulation paths, adjacencies, and site elements to really bring forward and come alive that spirit of STEAG. Next slide. We have various outreach tools that we have been using. We have mailed postcards. We've sent construction newsletters. We will continue to do such throughout the process. There's many fun links here to keep you guys up to date. We're doing our quarter report tonight. And we will continue to seek meetings throughout this project to make sure that our community stays involved and engaged. Next slide. For the timeline, right? Everybody's favorite slide. So demolition package is in progress right now. We plan on beginning the demolition process in late spring. We also have split this project up into multiple phases. Alton Construction is finding us the best path forward to move it as quickly as possible. And that includes creating a building and utility package that allows us to establish grades and get some of that underground work done as quickly as possible, and hopefully during the dry season, while we are finishing the review of the building package with the Division of State Architect and allowing us to have a 2027 move-in. Next slide. And so I'd like to bring forward our architects from Perkins Eastman to be able to present some of the design principles as well as the remainder of the presentation. Hopefully they have been promoted.
Hi, Ellen. This is Kim.
We should have Catherine, Kimberly, and Haywell. All right.
Yes, this is Kimberly. Thank you, Ellen. Can we move to the next slide, please? Yes, so prior to winning this project, we did some research on STEAG, and these were some of our initial guiding principles that inspired us as we were developing the project concept design. We want to celebrate the STEAG community. It takes a community to nurture a star, and the new school will in turn nurture the occupants, providing natural daylight, thermal comfort, acoustic control, and healthy materials. We want to, of course, support our educators in providing spaces that allow them to collaborate and work together. We want to make sure that the design of the new school celebrates the community and its distinguished aspects of the community. So we're going to be doing some student workshops to explore that further, as well as reflecting the surrounding nature. The beauty of the community and the surrounding nature will be embedded in the grounds as well. Next slide. So as part of our original feedback, we met with the staff, administration, school site council, and our community meeting, which was last week. In total, there's approximately 60 participants so far that have influenced the upcoming principles that we'll share with you. Next slide. And those are what we heard in the outreach was a community-centered campus, a focus on indoor and outdoor learning and play, well-being and comfort of the student, having lots of green and natural spaces, providing spaces that allow for appropriate play for the age groups, safety and security, and equitable resources and ed specs. And Catherine will go through the equitable resources ed spec piece next. Thank you. Next slide.
Thank you, Kim. So now we're going to run through building programs, which are guided by the ed specs, as well as our feedback so far. And you can go to the next slide. And I'll start by explaining a little bit about what building program is. For architects, it means the pieces and parts and the spaces that make up the design of a school. And the ed specs help guide that. They're a document that is a guideline for the whole district. And so that helps us on the one hand, in addition to the feedback we receive. I want to point out the color coding on each of these next slides ties into the floor plans that you're going to see later in the presentation. So first up is the administration and library program. We focused on a single point of entry for controlled campus access, which promotes safety. We thought about parent and community access in this part of the building and campus, where parents can enter via the main lobby. There's a community room near the library with after-hours parking access. Key facilities in this part of the campus include private offices, conference spaces, and small group rooms. There's a wellness center as well in the nurse's room, adjacent to the admin area. There's a library, which has areas for books, a story nook and table space, and staff amenities as well, with a teacher workroom, lounge, custodial, office and storage. Staff restrooms occur in all buildings. Next slide. So the orange color represents the multi-purpose room and kitchen area on campus. The multi-purpose room includes both dining area with a raised stage and a performance platform with a curtain and audio-visual system used for performances. There is a dedicated kitchen, a large cook kitchen with a walk-in refrigerator and dedicated serving area, so a dedicated serving line moving forward. And there's also an outdoor covered dining area with an indoor-outdoor event and dining space. Next slide. So the blue color that you'll see on the plans is representing our learning studios. We have classroom clusters that are arranged around a breakout room with a learning commons that has visibility from all classrooms for the ease of supervision. There are support spaces with project rooms available for STEAM, music, arts, and science. And there's a learning center with student and staff restrooms adjacent to the learning area without having to exit the building. And classroom features include sinks, storage, small group spaces for learning support. And the images you see in each of these slides are inspiration images. We haven't designed these interior spaces yet, but these are what we're thinking about as we will proceed through the design process. So you can go to the next slide. And this purple color represents the transitional kindergarten and kindergarten building complex on campus. So we'll have TKK classrooms, is how we refer to transitional kindergarten and kindergarten. TKK, large classroom spaces to support a variety of learning activities. Classroom features include sinks, plenty of storage, access to restrooms and staff workrooms from the classroom directly, and a dedicated play space, outdoor playground with a play structure, blacktop, and turf area. Next slide. The green color you'll see on the floor plans represent the outdoor spaces. There will be diverse activity zones and areas for structured and unstructured play, physical education and outdoor learning, a welcoming entry with an entry plaza, landscaping, trees, and park connections to the park across the street, and just ample outdoor space. The outdoor design will include trees, turf, playfield, and a garden. Next slide. Now Hoya will take you through some of the options we've been looking at.
Next slide, please. So quickly, as we're going through these outreach meetings with focus groups, we developed a set of criteria that help us guide us for making certain design decisions. So on the slide right here, you're seeing sort of a Google map view, but cartooned out as color blocks and diagrams. So we're kind of flying over the campus looking down, and each of these color blocks contain the building program that Catherine had mentioned on that previous slide. So I would actually, given the time we have, going to option 4. So if you flip 3 more slides forward, I'll go through the kind of the criteria and design guidelines we developed specifically for STEAGE. Next slide, please, option 4. So looking at this option, there are a few things we are targeting. So number 1, for classrooms, we want to optimize daylight for student for learning environment. So we are purposely trying to orient the classrooms and TKK classrooms to be orienting east and west to receive the best northern and southern lights to really brand up the classrooms and let the student have that environment. The next one is we want to create views and access to nature. So it's really creating clusters of natural spaces and directly provide access for students to have them handy close by so they're not far away from each of the program. The next one we're looking at is trying to minimize efficiency. So there are a couple of things we designed from the building to really looking in a long-term strategizing how to lower the operational cost by designing the building component efficiently to save energy in a long run. There's also stormwater management that we're creating on site to collect the rainwaters and looking at strategies of how to reuse them. Throughout the site, there's about 9 feet slope change. So we're also looking at accessibilities on site from different access points and how people can go around the campus without climbing many steps of the stairs. Then there's also single-use restrooms for all the major building program spaces, including classrooms. One thing we've noticed through the community meeting is that was really something the community and the students want, and we're definitely providing that. Then the next one is also about the site that we're relocating the staff driveway from the original one to a new location to really provide a better access that there will be overflow possibilities for parking and help to mitigate the traffic concern we have. They're all speed up a little bit more. We're also providing a dedicated drop-off area on Cypress to help with the traffic impact. At the same time, it's really separating the traffic from a pedestrian access. So you can see down at the bottom of that site plan, there's a crosswalk that people can safely cross the street without worrying about vehicles driving through that whole space. And then the admin building down at the bottom is also close related to all the main access points and will be controlled during the office time. So overall, I think we are resolving all the issues and the concerns we have on this option 4. I'll pass it to Heidi to give a quick summary about our community meeting.
Thank you, Leah. So on March 6th, last Thursday, we met with the community and had a workshop and kind of an informational session where we shared these 4 different site plan options and heard feedback. And we had the most support for this last option 4, the one that Leah went into detail over. The reasons we experienced the most support were for the quantity of access, so the ways that cars and people could access the site from both Cypress and Potrero, as well as the open play area in the center and the way it was protected by the buildings kind of wrapping around the major streets. And then also the visibility across the site for staff to keep an eye on students. Thank you all. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for that presentation. Is there anything else from you two here? Okay. Can we go to public comment? Is there any public comment on the item?
Yes, we have Mr. Don Gosney.
I rescinded my public comment to allow the Teamsters to kind of have a takeover tonight, but I can't sit still. I want to thank the superintendent and our representative Guadalupe and Melissa and the tech team and the architects and all of those who were able to join in with the community on March 6th. I have received nothing less than great comments about how the meeting was conducted The participation was very well attended, and we are just so happy and thankful and grateful for this opportunity to see a school that was built in 1943 to be rebuilt once, not twice or three times like the others. This is the first time Stige is having the opportunity to be built. I remember when they built Kennedy. I was 12 years old, and this is the third bill for them, and it's the third bill for Richmond High, but it's the first bill for Stige Elementary School, and we are just so proud and so thankful for the work and the input that is going into this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm sorry, I was not paying attention there for a second. Is there a public comment card in for her that you've taken, that you'll take out? Yeah, okay, and you move now to, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Don Gosney.
Good evening. You know, over the decades, I've worked consulting with government agencies, and a standard procedure when presenting options is to offer 4 options. Option number 4 with the government is always do nothing. It's actually required. Option number 1 is usually so bad or so expensive that no one would accept it. Option number 2 is usually only slightly better. But option 3, the option that they're all pushing you to accept, may be great, or it may not be great, but it's better than the other 3, so that one usually gets selected. We're seeing 4 options for Stige, and many people have compared this to what I just described. My advice is to look carefully at where you're being pointed, and if you're not happy with what's being offered, send them back to the drawing board. This is when all is said and done, staff and the vendors come and go, but this is where we live. We're the end users for the next 50 years, so let's get it right. Settling should not be an option.
Our next public comment is Mark Mitchell.
We're excited about the prospect of a rebuilt Stige, but we understand the demolition of the current facility is imminent, but educators still have not had their instructional and personal materials liberated from the site, despite complying with the district's requirements to request their personal belongings and the instructional materials for Stige students. That was submitted on or before January 31st as the district requested. There's been no response. It's 40 days later. You're about to tear down the building. It's time to be respectful of the contribution of these educators and other staff to the students and families they serve, and to liberate their materials, or to at least grant them the respective response. Further, the union is informed and believes there's a complaint against the district for 5 violations regarding conditions at Stige, including willful exposure of students and staff to dangerous materials. We've issued an information request for this complaint, and it has not been provided. Failure to do so is an unfair labor practice. President Reckler, please direct the staff to share the complaint with the union and the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all that gave public comment. We'll go to questions. See questions here? Go right ahead.
Thank you, President. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. This is truly exciting. And I appreciate our wonderful folks that go to each one of the meetings. I had a question about the 4th design. First question is, what was the feedback from the admin staff about the admin building being so far from the classrooms?
Thank you for the question. We did have extensive conversations with the admin staff about the location of the admin building. They did not have concerns over the location of it, and we're excited for it to be in the front of the campus to be able to welcome visitors and have adjacency to the TK camp complex.
Okay, great. And then the blue section, the classrooms grade 1 through 6, how many classrooms is that and how many per grade level?
So the overall classroom count for that section includes, there's 4 per pod. And there's 3 pods, which gets you up to 12. And then there's also 2 additional beyond that. That does accommodate our resource program as well as our multi-use room, which would accommodate our art and music program.
So that sounds like 2 per grade level.
It's just
More or
under
less.
2 per grade level. There is a project room that can be used as a standard classroom, which is a flexible space.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much. That was my last question for you.
Are there any other questions, Trustee Smith Foltz, anything?
None at this time.
Thank you. Anything on this side?
I have a couple questions. My first question is on the timeline. So I know that we're to begin construction in winter of 25. With the weather at that time, have we put that into, or have we put that into, factored into our timeline?
This is one of the reasons why we're doing the utility package beforehand, and so that we would be able to get many of the underground utilities, which is the majority of the trenching, done beforehand in the first phase of construction. That will also allow us to complete our rough grading. So we are aware of a winter start and what that means. We have successfully built through the winter at Lake and had very minimal weather delays.
Thank you. My next question is that I appreciated seeing the different options that we had, the different 4 options, but I think I would have also liked to have a little bit more context in sizing of the buildings. I think that's really something that the community needs to know, especially when you're talking about like the MPR, the multi-purpose room, like the capacity of that and how it's going to look different on every different option that we've got, and actually having that be labeled and I guess kind of giving them the idea of what our needs are. Like, are we cutting down the multi-purpose room in one option to acquire for other things, or, you know, the classroom layouts? And I think having a little bit more information around that, around every option, would have been a little bit more clear and for the community to actually grasp of what this is really going to look like when it comes down to like the different options. And I don't think that was a question. I think that was more of a comment, because I think that was one of the things that I heard that day at the event that you guys held, is like, okay, well, what's the difference? You know, they're giving us everything over here, but over here they're not able to. And it's not just the shifting of the spaces, but actually the capacity of each space. And, you know, what's the difference, especially like in the multi-purpose room? Are we going to give them a multi-purpose room that can fit 300, you know, people here on one of the options? And are we going to cut that down to maybe 150, 200 in another option to fit something else in? So I think having a little bit more context to the different options would have been helpful for a lot of the community in that space.
Wait, maybe she can answer that for you.
May I? So every option has the same size space for each of the elements. So it did not matter which option was selected. Each option's, like for example, the MPR was the same size in all 4 options. We will be coming forward at a later date with a more contextual look as far as what those buildings will look like in elevation, but we needed to get through the process of siting the buildings first.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I think that's my last question.
Student trustees, anything? Okay, I've got a couple. So just to follow up on the move-in, so it's still the original date at this time?
At this time.
Okay, just one.
Well, we have a lot in front of us still, so, but we are trying our best to keep that date.
Just want to do a little check in there. Next is, I'm not really sure, since staff isn't on site now, how many people do you have in our system who worked at Stige who can give you some advice about the site and feedback on what you're building? I mean, I think of Dr. Moses, who was there for years as a principal. There are other people in the system. Are you talking to any of them besides current people?
Yes, we are utilizing, in all of our projects, we consult at the district leadership level as well as the school site itself. Plus, this is where our community really shines. We have had many stories of alumni and neighbors, and we're happy to have them as part of the process because of their knowledge of the sites in the surrounding area.
Okay, and then the word on everybody's lips, tariffs. What are you thinking about the cost of building?
We understand throughout every day that construction is subject to the global market. It's also subject to labor changes. And so that's not something we're unused to keeping in the back of our minds as we move forward with the project. One of the strategies that we have with this particular project, because we have a collaborative design build process and our builder is already on board, they're actively looking at which products and pieces of the building we can purchase in advance, especially things like our MSB, which is our main electrical service switchboard. Needs to, that's one of the items that we know is a problem and that we need to purchase early. And so it's two part is one a cost and one supply. We are also making sure as we move forward with the project that we are able to have specifications that allow the same quality of product to be provided, but allow substitutions as products become more available and less available depending on where they are produced. We have the ability to be agile and react to that market. Which is also why we are in contact right now with our subcontractors that are giving us advice as we move through design about what items look like they are going to go up in cost and which ones will be more readily available throughout the process. Obviously, none of us have a crystal ball, and we never have. And this is not the first time construction has been faced with these kind of issues. And so we continue to seek our partners and our professionals that are here to help us navigate the situation the best we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any comments from anybody? Okay. Anything? Okay, good. All right, well, thank you very much. And we will move now to F2, which is the quarterly update on Kennedy and Richmond.
Yes, thank you so much. And so I'm going to welcome Ms. Mejia Hooper up for her final presentation of the evening. But we really appreciate everyone's time and the opportunity to present on these projects. She's going to share a little bit with us about Kennedy and Richmond High School.
One more time for the good times. So I'm back for Kennedy and Richmond, and tonight we're really focusing on phase one. I know it feels like we've been in planning and design forever. I get that. I understand. I've lived through it too. But we are here tonight because phase one is becoming really real. And so if we move on to the next slide. First up is Kennedy. And so our phase one project, this is a bird's eye view of the two new buildings that are part of phase one. Now, while we're focusing on phase one, that does not mean there's not a phase 2 and 3, because there is. But phase one for this particular campus is a new classroom administration building building and a combination dining and performing arts building. The majority of the classroom spaces at Kennedy will reside in this new building. So once it's open, we are going to have the mass majority of classes actually in a new wonderful building. So we're super excited about it. Next slide. If we're looking at it from a campus perspective, you can see the site plan here. Cutting Boulevard is on the top of your page with Burke circling around the left side to the bottom of the page. And the existing football field stadium, you can kind of orient yourself to on the left side. So over the top of where the 100 and 200 building is where we are constructing what we're calling Building A. And that is the new classroom building with the administration space. This is a 2-story building. Then below it, in the footprint of what currently is the 500 building, we will be doing the new performing arts dining and kitchen facility. The K-Quad is also part of this space. Next slide. So Building A, we've kind of covered what the parts and pieces are. There is a student lobby that will come through an atrium space. The rendering here shows the administration entry, which would be for community and parents that are coming during the day and are coming through our single point of entry. Next slide. We're working on the interior design. We had a nice activity with our students during lunch to help us select the color schemes. We also went to an all-staff meeting to present those options, as well as had an online survey. So we've had a variety of input. We are definitely keeping the red, so be ready. It's coming in the interior. Then there's also an interior rendering here of the classroom space. You can see we have nice high ceilings with indirect and direct lighting. We do have windows and a teaching wall, as well as you'll see it in the back there. There's a closet, and that closet is holding the HVAC system, which has air conditioning. Next slide. Building B is our combination dining and performing arts space. So at the top, while it's not colored yet, it does show the perspective of if you were seated in the top of the pull-out seats that are along the back, looking at the main stage area. You can see the double proscenium happening here, and that's because we do have an operable wall that allows for fixed seating to be in the front, as well as a formal stage. When those seats are pulled back into the wall, you're at the bottom image, which allows you to have an open dining area during the day, and that's looking back out at the balcony where the lighting control booth will be, as well as accessible seating for those who wouldn't be able to navigate the stairs. Next slide. So this is what we call a cross section. So when you cut a building in half and you look inside of it, this is what you see. So on the right side, you'll see the floor plan with the yellow triangle. That's where we're standing. So we're standing in front of the serving windows from the kitchen and looking out. And this shows how the retractable seating system will work, and shows how the space allows for the seating in the middle there, as well as the fixed seating in the second section and the stage, as well as the back of house areas behind. So this will be a very dynamic space, and not like our standard multi-purpose rooms that we're used to in our elementary level. Next slide. We are also approaching the K-Quad as part of our activities where we were engaging our student, staff, and community. We had 2 options for the K-Quad. After going back to the steering committee with the 2 options, we kind of have looked at it again and made some adjustments to incorporate their comments. You can see here that we have the students, the dining area to the right on the screen, and it includes an outdoor covered area for table seating. And so that's what's going to border the east side of the quad. There's more trees in the quad as well as additional grass space, which is the darker hatched area. We are maintaining the Circle K that currently is on site so that we can keep the historic significance of this quad. And then there's outdoor learning spaces that will support our art and CTE program that is in the 600 building, which is on the west side of the quad. Next slide. So timeline for phase one. We are really close to demolition. During the spring, we will, as soon as we have our community event, we are going to open the building up to our maintenance staff to be able to reclaim any useful items from the building. And then we are going to move on to some interior cleanup as well as utility work and building safe off. Demolition is not a one event thing where you see the big wrecking ball come through. There's a lot of pre-steps that have to happen, which are planned for this fall, or this spring. Once we hit real summer, we are going to be taking down the 100, 200, and 500 building during the summer break. So it will be a massive project. You will be able to see it from Cutting Boulevard, so it's going to be quite the show. Once that's done, we did do the same strategy that we did at Stige, and we split the building packages apart so that we are able to do a pre-construction piece. Everybody's a little frustrated with underground work because you work and work and work, and then you end up with just a dirt pad at the end. That will be the case here as well, but those are all important things that are in the ground that make the building go once we have it. So our sewer, fire, water, electrical, low voltage, all of these different utilities that we need in the ground, and then also getting the dirt to the right level so that we can build will happen in that second package. And then finally, we'll get to the building phase with a final completion scheduled for the winter of 27-28. Next slide. We do have a community event. In case you missed it during the superintendent's report, please come this Saturday. It should be a good time. Next slide. Richmond. All right, Richmond High School. So Richmond High School's phase one is a 2-story classroom building that wraps around the existing theater. This is a view from 23rd Street. Next slide. So this is an overall site plan of where we are going eventually. So the light blue are existing buildings that are getting modernized, where the dark blue is the new construction components. We are keeping a section of the main building, and you can see the theater there in the middle. 23rd Street is on your left for orientation. North is facing up. And the new building that we're building in phase one, if we go to the next slide, is highlighted in yellow. So this is wrapping around that existing theater and taking over the staff parking lot. Next slide. So building E, as it's referred to in the architectural plans, is a 2-story classroom building that also has a 1-story element that is the music program space. We also have CTE spaces for health and law within this building, as well as student and staff restrooms. And in the rendering, you can see some of the breakout spaces that are occurring throughout the hallway areas and circulation space. There is the design element for this particular campus is to have an open structure in the hallways with a more formal drop ceiling within the classroom spaces. Next slide. So this is the stairwell within the space at the end of the building near the theater. So this is kind of facing out towards what will be the new parking lot in 23rd Street, and again, shows some of these more informal breakout spaces within the building. Next slide. And here's some views of the classroom spaces. Next slide. Timeline for Richmond is similar to Richmond and Stage. However, we don't need to do a demolition phase because the only part that we're demolishing to get going is the solar panels in the SAF parking lot. And then we are doing a utility make ready package because all the utilities that are coming in off of 23rd Street and feeding all of the existing buildings run right over where we want to build. So there will be quite a bit of underground work in order to reconnect all of the existing buildings to utilities outside of our building footprint. Before we can start construction of the building itself, which is our building package. And we're anticipating completion of the first building in fall of 27. And that completes our presentation, and we are here for questions. Oh, I forgot to mention HKIT as well as DLR are on the line if there are specific questions for the architects to answer. And all of that, those renderings and things that you saw were produced by those two firms.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment.
Great, does anybody from the board have questions? No? I have a question. So this is my nostalgia question. Is anything being saved from either of these buildings for incorporation into the new sites? One of the things I think of at Korematsu, they took the old locker doors and then they made a design on one of the stairwells. Is there any plan to salvage anything from either?
We do have the Rock at Richmond that is being relocated to a new home, but would still be out in front of Richmond High. So that component is planned to be saved. There are quite a few murals across Kennedy, which are incorporated actually on the walls themselves. So one of the thoughts that we had was to photograph those and then reprint on a smaller scale on canvas so that they would be able to be placed inside the display cases or other locations in the campus. So those are our salvage plans. We do have a lot of boxes from Kennedy of all the trophies and things that are currently at the FOC, holding until we're ready to bring them back on site.
Okay, and are both projects still on time?
We do still have an overall time frame of 2020 or 2030 to finish these projects.
And cost-wise with tariffs?
We are
Same.
doing similar strategies with our, we have a lease back firm on each one of these. And so we are working with our contractors to try to do the same strategies that have worked for us in the past.
Okay, thank you. Any comments for anyone? Go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation and the update. It's truly exciting. I love the picture of Richmond High. I can't wait to see a similar one for Kennedy. And I actually would really appreciate if we could work, if the superintendent could work with maybe the Richmond Mayor's office and do this presentation to the Richmond City Council. I do think it'd be beneficial for them to hear this information because they're in construction. We're going to have to partner with them between the noise and the street support. We're going to need the city, right? So if we can bring him in early, maybe they could even give us some feedback now. I think that they will probably appreciate it. So I just want to give that feedback, see if it's a possibility. Thank you.
Great comment. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll close out that item. Does anybody have any quick comments they want to make? Okay, then with that, I will close out the March 12th, 2025 meeting at 10:33 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. What did I say? Oh, a.m., p.m., sorry.